Chapter 1454. Great Tyrant, speak in human language, no dog language. Ningyu rolled his eyes. Just what is that treasure? What? You're eyeing that treasure? The Dark Emperor stared at Ningyu warily and said, I'll tell you the truth. That treasure belongs to the Sky-Devouring Hound clan. Even if you obtain it, it won't be of much use to you. Is that so? Ningyu's brows twitched, and then he stopped on the spot and didn't continue forward. From the Dark Emperor's expression, Ningyu could tell that the treasure in the depths was special, and it wouldn't be an exaggeration to describe it as extremely precious. Otherwise, with the Dark Emperor's character, he wouldn't be so anxious. All right, I'll tell you. Seeing Ningyu's actions, the Dark Emperor had no choice but to compromise. The treasure in the depths is the Sky-Devouring Scepter, the supreme treasure of the Sky-Devouring Hound clan. Sky-Devouring Scepter? Hearing that, Ningyu was briefly stunned before he asked, could it be the third supreme treasure of the Sky-Devouring Hound clan, the Sky-Devouring Scepter? That's right. The Dark Emperor nodded. It is indeed the Sky-Devouring Scepter. Thereafter, the Dark Emperor immediately added, since you know about the Sky-Devouring Scepter, then you should know that only the Sky-Devouring Hound can use it. Let's go. I want to see what's so special about the Sky-Devouring Scepter. Ningyu didn't waste any more words. He walked towards the deepest part of the vortex step by step. In his previous life, even as a heavenly sovereign, Ningyu had never seen the Sky-Devouring Scepter. It was rumored that the reason why the Sky-Devouring Hound clan could stand on equal footing with the true dragon was due to their three supreme treasures. Amongst them, the third-ranked Sky-Devouring Scepter played a crucial role. In ancient times, the Emperor of the Sky-Devouring Hound clan wielded the Sky-Devouring Scepter and fought with the true dragon. Ever since that battle, the Sky-Devouring Hound clan became famous, and the Sky-Devouring Scepter's reputation also blossomed during that period. However, with the passage of time, the Sky-Devouring Hound clan disappeared in the long river of history, and the Sky-Devouring Scepter naturally disappeared without a trace. Ningyu did not expect to hear news of the Heaven-Devouring Scepter here. He even had the chance to obtain it. Ningyu would definitely not give up this opportunity. He took a deep breath and walked toward the deepest part of the vortex while paying attention to the changes in his surroundings. Don't be too anxious. I can sense that something is guarding the Heaven-Devouring Scepter. The Dark Emperor was in the interspatial ring and did not come out. The Dark Emperor was not a stupid dog. With Ningyu's strength, coupled with the help of the sapling and the spatial laws, it would be difficult for him to move an inch in this place. If he were to go out, he would probably be squashed into a meat patty and die on the spot. I want to freaking be anxious, but do you think I could be anxious? Ningyu's face was filled with displeasure. That was the Heaven-Devouring Scepter. Who wouldn't want to go there as soon as possible? However, even with the help of the sapling and the spatial laws, he had no way of speeding up. That was because the pressure in the surroundings was simply too terrifying. It was so terrifying that Ningyu had to stop and rest for a moment after taking 3 steps. All right then. The Dark Emperor also knew that it was difficult for Ningyu. He seemed to have seen through it and went silent, choosing to keep his mouth shut. Crack, crack. In the core of the supreme killing formation, Ningyu moved step by step. Time passed bit by bit. In the blink of an eye, an hour had passed since Ningyu entered the core of the supreme killing formation. In this hour, the pressure on Ningyu was getting greater and greater. In the end, he had no choice but to expend the Arch-Grade Essence Crystals rapidly to maintain it. Thankfully, Ningyu had many Arch-Grade Essence Crystals on him. Otherwise, it was unknown if he could survive in his current state. I can sense that I'll be able to see the Heaven-Devouring Scepter in another half an hour. Although it was in the interspatial ring, the Dark Emperor was very sensitive to the Heaven-Devouring Scepter. According to his calculations, he would definitely be able to see the Heaven-Devouring Scepter in another half an hour. Roar. However, right then, something strange happened. A deafening roar sounded from afar. Swash! Accompanied by the roar, a figure bolted over from afar at an extremely terrifying speed. It's the demonic beast guarding the Heaven-Devouring Scepter. The Dark Emperor in the interspatial ring exclaimed when he saw the massive creature that suddenly appeared. Ningyu, think of a way to defeat it. I'll cheer for you. Ningyu's face darkened. I won't say anything if you don't come out to help. But King said that you're cheering for me? If cheering works, what's the point of cultivating? Each time he fought with an enemy, it was not about cultivation or strength, but the number of cheers. Trespassing on the forbidden ground. Before long, the massive creature appeared before Ningyu and opened its mouth, saying coldly, "Kill without mercy." Gigantic tyrant? Ningyu frowned slightly as he looked at the behemoth in front of him. There was some doubt between his brows. The demonic beast was huge and looked extremely similar to the gigantic tyrant. However, there were differences between this demonic beast and the gigantic tyrant. It had a pair of wings on its back that resembled scissors and looked extremely terrifying. Gigantic tyrant. The massive creature's deep voice sounded with a sinister expression. Don't compare a low-level demonic beast like the gigantic tyrant to me. No, I don't care who you are. Anyway, you'll definitely die today for trespassing on the forbidden ground. Swash! As it spoke, the gigantic tyrant opened its mouth once more and spat out a cold beam of light. The cold beam of light was extremely fast and appeared before Ningyu in the blink of an eye. Clang! At that critical moment, Ningyu hurriedly took out the red demon sword and held it in front of him. Ding! The cold beam of light collided with the red demon sword, and the immense force sent Ningyu flying dozens of feet away. Puffed! Fresh blood spurted out from Ningyu's mouth as his face turned extremely pale. Ow! How can your strength be so terrifying? Through this move, Ningyu could basically determine the gigantic tyrant's true strength. 4th grade, Earth Sovereign. The gigantic tyrant's strength had reached the terrifying 4th grade Earth Sovereign realm. Although it was only a 4th grade Earth Sovereign, the spatial pressure here was terrifying, and the gigantic tyrant wasn't affected at all. Under normal circumstances, it would be hard for Ningyu to defeat a 4th grade Earth Sovereign giant tyrant, not to mention now. I have to think of a way. Ningyu's face was dark. His eyes turned as he tried to think of a countermeasure. The current situation was extremely urgent for him. He definitely wasn't the gigantic tyrant's opponent in a head-on battle. Right now, he could only bring out the Tower of Ascension when at least expected and use the fact that the gigantic tyrant had never seen the Tower of Ascension before to lure it into the Tower of Ascension. Ningyu might not be the gigantic tyrant's opponent outside, but the moment it entered the Tower of Ascension, the gigantic tyrant wouldn't have any chance of winning, no matter how powerful it was. Let's do it this way. The current situation did not allow Ningyu to think too much. As he retreated, he took out the Tower of Ascension and hid it in his sleeve. Chapter 1455. Go deeper. Not bad. You actually managed to survive a move that contained 10% of my strength. You do have some ability. Seeing that Ningyu didn't die on the spot, the colossal tyrant was a little shocked. One must know that it was a 4th grade Earth Sovereign, and even a move that contained 10% of its strength wasn't something that a middle phase 8th grade Earth Sovereign could withstand. The fact that Ningyu was able to block one of his moves without dying was indeed beyond his expectations. But that was all. In the next moment, the colossal tyrant opened its mouth once again and charged towards Ningyu. This time, the giant Tyrannosaurus did not hold back. Its mouth grew larger and larger, and in the end, it became several times larger. You want to devour me? The colossal tyrant's actions had caused Ningyu to be startled in his heart. But at the same time, hope was ignited in Ningyu's heart. It wouldn't be that easy for the colossal tyrant to devour him. When I enter your stomach, I'll enter the Ascension Pagoda and see if you can melt it. Ningyu made up his mind. It was so much so that when the colossal tyrant approached him, he slowly closed his eyes without any intention of resisting. Feigning death. The colossal tyrant wasn't surprised by Ningyu's actions. It opened its mouth and tried to devour Ningyu. After all, in its view, Ningyu would definitely die. A puny middle phase 8th grade Earth Sovereign was simply courting death by barging into this place. However, it was proven that the colossal tyrant was overthinking things. Before its mouth could devour Ningyu, a silhouette tore through space and appeared before it. Not only was that silhouette swift, but it also had a powerful attack. Boom! A fist was thrown out, along with a violent gale, that heavily slammed against the colossal tyrant's head. The massive force caused the colossal tyrant's head to feel dizzy before it was sent flying. Crack! 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 It heavily crashed against the ground, emitting a few crisp sounds. Roar! After being punched in the head, even a few of the bones in its body were broken. The big tyrant raised its head and let out a furious roar. "Who are you?" Staring at the martial artist standing beside Ningyu, the great tyrant revealed a grave expression. The giant tyrant was not a fool. On the contrary, it was very smart. Ningyu was a pushover, but this martial artist who appeared beside Ningyu was no pushover. 8th grade, Earth Sovereign. The cultivator that appeared beside Ningyu was an 8th grade Earth Sovereign. What's going on outside? Why would that trash Zhao Huan let an 8th grade Earth Sovereign enter the array core? The giant tyrant's face was gloomy, and it was secretly thinking of countermeasures. However, Master Xingyan obviously wouldn't give him the chance. First, he separated a wisp of soul power to protect Ningyu in the middle. Then, he walked towards the giant tyrant step by step. Sha-sha. Master Xingyan's speed wasn't fast, but it wasn't slow either. Moreover, as Master Xingyan walked, he exerted his powerful soul power to suppress the giant tyrant. Crack! Under the terrifying soul power of Master Xingyan, the giant tyrant's knees made cracking sounds, and it couldn't help but kneel down. "Who are you?" "Zhao Huan should be in charge of Giant Shield City. How could you come here?" The giant tyrant scolded. "Zhao Huan." Master Xingyan raised his eyebrows and said, "I'm sorry, Zhao Huan has been killed. Not only Zhao Huan, but even Bai Shield has been killed." As he spoke, Master Xingyan looked back at Ningyu. Bang! Ningyu understood and tossed the white shield out of his storage ring. It landed heavily at the feet of the big tyrant. Bai Shield, seeing the martial artist under its feet, the giant tyrant was slightly stunned. It was a little confused. To be honest, the giant tyrant didn't know Bai Shield. It didn't even take the initiative to contact Bai Shield. Those who contacted it could only be martial artists from Hunterflower City. Even Bai Shield wasn't qualified, and Zhao Huan happened to be a martial artist from Hunterflower City. It seems that you don't know Bai Shield. Master Xingyan exerted force with his right hand, and a huge suction force sucked Bai Shield back and threw it to Ningyu's side. Ningyu controlled Bai Shield and threw it back into the storage ring again. "Since you don't know Bai Shield, there's no need to keep you here," Master Xingyan said. The reason why Master Xingyan asked Ningyu to throw Bai Shield out was because he wanted to test it. In Bai Shield's memory, there was no mention of a thing inside the vortex. To prevent Bai Shield's memory from being erased, Master Xingyan chose to throw Bai Shield out to test it. Now it seemed that the giant tyrant didn't know Bai Shield, or rather, Bai Shield wasn't qualified to get close to the deepest secrets. "Let's go." Seeing that Master Xingyan was distracted, the giant tyrant's eyes burst out a cold light. The wings on its back suddenly flapped, and its figure turned into an afterimage as it flew towards the depths of the vortex. Because it wasn't affected by the pressure in the vortex, the giant tyrant's speed was very fast. It was so fast that even Master Xingyan, who was an 8th grade Earth Sovereign, couldn't catch up. "Should we chase after it?" Seeing the giant tyrant leaving, Master Xingyan slightly knitted his brows and turned to Ningyu. "According to Bai Shield's memory, as long as we can reach the depths of the vortex, we'll be able to find the treasure. The direction that the giant tyrant escaped in is different from the depths of the vortex." "Different directions?" Master Xingyan's words made Ningyu a little dumbfounded. The giant tyrant was clearly heading towards the depths of the vortex, so why would Master Xingyan say that? Could it be that Master Xingyan was lost? After thinking about it, Ningyu felt that there was only one possibility. "Let's chase after the giant tyrant." Ningyu did not explain too much to Grandmaster Xingyan. He pointed at the direction where the giant tyrant escaped and said in a deep voice, "We're unfamiliar with this whirlpool. If we let the giant tyrant leave, it's very likely that it'll bring more demonic beasts here. At that time, we'll be trapped in a forbidden land beyond redemption. All right, Master Xingyan didn't think too much about it. He agreed with Ning Yu's words. Then, he grabbed Ning Yu and chased after the giant tyrant. No matter what, the strength of Master Xingyan's soul energy had reached the level of liquid into core. Under the resistance of his soul energy, Ning Yu felt that the pressure around him was gradually decreasing. What's going on? This change was clearly out of Ning Yu's expectation. Master Xingyan's soul energy was already so strong, so it didn't make sense for him to feel that the pressure was decreasing. It's the pressure outside that's decreasing. Master Xingyan's expression was extremely grave. Although the pressure had decreased, Master Xingyan's heart was getting more and more worried. There were only two possibilities for the sudden decrease in pressure. First, they had accidentally broken into the depths of the vortex. Second, they had broken into the traps set by the giant tyrant. If it was the first possibility, it would be fine. After all, there was a chance to obtain the treasure. Chapter 1456. Swoosh, swoosh. The situation seemed to be developing in a bad direction. Just as Grandmaster Xingyan was in a daze, the space around him suddenly split open. Suddenly, a few huge figures appeared. Obviously, the several giant creatures that suddenly appeared were not ordinary demonic beasts. They were the giant tyrant beasts. The cultivation of those giant tyrants was not very high. All of them were fourth-grade Earth sovereigns. The big Tyrannosaurus at the front was the big Tyrannosaurus that had just fought with Master Xingyan. Ha ha ha! Seeing that Ning Yu and Grandmaster Xingyan had been tricked, the giant Tyrannosaurus at the front raised its head and laughed maniacally. It said sinisterly, "This is our territory. If you dare to barge in, you will die." That giant tyrant was very arrogant. Although Master Xingyan was an 8th-grade Earth sovereign, they had a lot of demonic beasts. 1 or 2 of them might not be a match for you. But what about 3? What about 4? What about dozens of them? Of course, under normal circumstances, even dozens of 4th-grade Earth sovereigns would not be a match for an 8th-grade Earth sovereign. But the situation here was very special. They could control the pressure in this space at will. Ning Yu, take a few steps back. Let me deal with these giant tyrants. Master Xingyan's expression was solemn. He pushed Ning Yu away and faced the giant tyrants alone. Rumble. The battle broke out in an instant. At first, Master Nebula had an overwhelming advantage and even killed 2 giant tyrants. But as time passed, Master Xingyan found that the pressure around him was getting stronger and stronger. It was so strong that even he was affected. Under this terrifying pressure, he could only display 80% of his strength at his peak. And the most terrifying thing was that the pressure was getting stronger and stronger. At this rate, it would only take half an hour at most for him to only be able to display 10% of his peak strength. Therefore, Master Xingyan did not have much time left. I have to kill them all in half an hour. Master Xingyan secretly made up his mind. No matter what, he would use all his strength to kill all the giant tyrants in half an hour. Whoosh! Grandmaster Xingyan was not the kind of person who only talked and did not practice. With a thought, he released all the soul power in his body. The most powerful thing about Grandmaster Xingyan was not his martial arts strength, but his terrifying soul power. Roar! As a matter of fact, Master Xingyan's soul power was indeed terrifying. After he released his soul power, the great tyrant was at a complete disadvantage. Ning Yu, the heaven-devouring scepter, is right behind these giant tyrants. Ning Yu could not help Grandmaster Xingyan fight against the giant Tyrannosaurus alone. At this moment, he was communicating with the Dark Sovereign in his storage ring. The Dark Emperor's expression was solemn as he said in a deep voice, "After Grandmaster Xingyan completely kills the big tyrant, we will suddenly rush out and snatch the heaven-devouring scepter." Dark Emperor didn't trust Master Xingyan. He treated Master Xingyan as an enemy. Suddenly rush out? Ning Yu said snappily, "If it weren't for the help of the sapling and the law of space, as well as the soul power that Master Nebula left around me, We wouldn't even be qualified to stand here. The Dark Emperor felt a little awkward. He was indeed a little anxious. After all, the Heaven-Devouring Scepter was one of the top 3 treasures of the Sky-Devouring Hound clan, and he did not want anyone else to obtain it. Let's wait a little longer. The situation isn't that simple. Ningyu shook his head and continued. If I've guessed correctly, these giant tyrants will definitely be killed by Grandmaster Xingyun, and after they die, more demonic beasts will appear. Actually, Ningyu's guess wasn't wrong. The Heaven-Devouring Scepter was a treasure amongst treasures, so there was no reason for it to only be guarded by a few 4th-grade Earth Sovereign Realm demonic beasts. It wouldn't be an exaggeration even if there were heavenly sovereigns guarding such a heaven-defying treasure. Crack! What do you want came true? Just when Ningyu had this thought in his heart, there was a drastic change in the battlefield not too far away. Grandmaster Xingyun rapidly retreated with a grave expression on his face. Suddenly, an even larger giant Tyrannosaurus appeared in the midst of the giant Tyrannosaurus. This giant Tyrannosaurus, that was several times bigger, opened its mouth and devoured the other giant Tyrannosaurus. Crack! Crack! The sound of bones shattering resounded from the giant Tyrannosaurus' mouth, looking extremely eerie. Humans, you guys have great courage to come here. Not bad, not bad. Casually spitting out the bones, the giant Tyrannosaurus faintly said, I'm about to leave this space, and I'm lacking 2 guides. You guys can be my slaves. Be careful. Grandmaster Xingyun and Ningyu did not reply to the giant Tyrannosaurus. It was so much so that they even looked as if they were facing a great enemy. Grandmaster Xingyun said in a low voice, Enter the pagoda of Yuzun later and hand the control over the pagoda to me. I'll deal with this giant Tyrannosaurus. How confident are you? Ningyu asked. 50%. Grandmaster Xingyun replied. The giant Tyrannosaurus cultivation was at the 9th-grade Earth Sovereign Realm, which was extremely terrifying. Facing it head-on and under the terrifying pressure, Grandmaster Xingyun only had a 30% chance of winning. He could only achieve 50% by controlling the pagoda of Yuzun. You guys don't seem to want to be my slaves. Letting out a sigh, the giant Tyrannosaurus opened its mouth and a massive scepter appeared. Sky-Devouring Scepter. The moment he saw the scepter, Ningyu realized that the scepter that the big tyrant spat out was the Heaven-Devouring Scepter. Oh, you're pretty knowledgeable. It's a pity that there's no prize. Holding onto the Sky-Devouring Scepter, the giant Tyrannosaurus continued. You guys have 2 choices now. Submit to me and tell me about the outside world, or die. Make your choice. Ningyu, find a way to get close to the giant Tyrannosaurus. I have a way to snatch the Sky-Devouring Scepter. The Dark Emperor's solemn voice resounded in Ningyu's ears. Hearing that, Ningyu was briefly stunned. Are you sure? I'm sure. The Sky-Devouring Scepter is the treasure of the Sky-Devouring Hound clan, and I'm the Emperor of the Sky-Devouring Hound clan. I'm 90% confident that I can snatch it. The Dark Emperor said. All right, I believe you. At this moment, Ningyu and the rest had no other choice. If the giant Tyrannosaurus didn't have the Sky-Devouring Scepter, Grandmaster Xingyun still had a 50% chance of winning with the pagoda of Yuzun. However, the giant Tyrannosaurus had the Sky-Devouring Scepter. Even if Grandmaster Xingyun controlled the pagoda of Yuzun, he wouldn't even have a 10% chance of winning. Rather than risking a 10% chance of winning, it was better to let the Dark Emperor give it a try. After all, the Dark Emperor was the Emperor of the Sky-Devouring Hound clan, so he had a 90% chance of snatching the Sky-Devouring Scepter. We choose to submit to you. Chapter 1457. 3 minutes. Year 20 of the Heavenly Demon Calendar. The giant tyrant frowned slightly when it heard Ningyu's words. No one knew what it was thinking. Since the giant tyrant did not speak, Ningyu stopped moving forward and stood on the spot. For a moment, the place fell silent. Drip, drip. Time continued to pass. In the blink of an eye, half an hour had passed. Roar. The giant tyrant suddenly raised its head and roared. It then pointed at Ningyu and said, Come here and open your mind. I'm going to inspect your memories. Ningyu's heart skipped a beat when he heard that. He He knew things were not going well. Given the giant tyrant's strength, he would definitely be controlled if he opened his mind. However, the current situation did not allow Ningyu to overthink. He could either take a gamble or escape immediately. Without thinking too much, Ningyu moved his feet and walked toward the giant tyrant again. 3 more steps. As Ningyu moved forward, the Dark Emperor in the storage ring said in a deep voice with a solemn expression, "Thud! Thud!" Every step that Ningyu took landed heavily on the ground, producing a loud thud. 2 steps. The Dark Emperor silently counted every step that Ningyu took. 1 step. When Ningyu's final stomp landed, a terrifying light burst forth from the Dark Emperor's eyes. He abruptly sprang out from his storage ring and charged toward the giant tyrant at an extremely terrifying speed. "Ningyu, back off!" The Dark Emperor transmitted his voice to Ningyu as he charged toward the giant tyrant. "Let's go." Ningyu was not an indecisive person. With a flash, he retreated backward. However, Ningyu was cautious and did not retreat too far. This distance was just enough for him to receive the Dark Emperor. Although the Dark Emperor had a 90% chance of seizing the heaven-devouring scepter, who could guarantee that the last 10% wouldn't fail? Therefore, Ningyu did not retreat too far. At this distance, he could open the Tower of Ascension and bring the Dark Emperor back. Purple gold sky, devouring hound. Looking at the approaching Dark Emperor, the giant tyrant's expression turned grave. After all, the heaven-devouring scepter was the ultimate treasure of the heaven-devouring hound clan. Therefore, it was not an exaggeration for the giant tyrant to recognize the Dark Emperor as a heaven-devouring hound. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. It was fine if the Dark Emperor did not make a move, but the moment he did, he used his trump card. He forced out 3 drops of blood essence and charged toward the giant tyrant from 3 different directions. Go! After the 3 drops of blood essence flew out, the Dark Emperor opened his mouth and spat out another fist-sized cold light. I can't believe it. The Dark Emperor's actions caused Ningyu to curse. The cold gleam that was the size of a fist was not an offensive technique, but the Dark Emperor's blood essence. How much blood essence did the Dark Emperor have in total? In order to control the heaven-devouring scepter, he had forced out so much blood essence. It could be said that the Dark Emperor had put himself in a desperate situation to survive. It was either succeed or die trying. Child's play. Clearly, the giant tyrant did not realize that the cold gleam was the Dark Emperor's blood essence. Holding the heaven-devouring scepter, he said proudly, "I would like to see how capable you are to fight me." Using the heaven-devouring scepter to kill the heaven-devouring hound. Just thinking about it makes me excited. After laughing sinisterly, the giant tyrant threw the heaven-devouring hound out. Its target was the fist-sized blood essence of the Dark Emperor. Almost instantly, the heaven-devouring scepter came into contact with the Dark Emperor's blood essence. When the two collided, what the giant tyrant expected did not happen. Chi, 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 chi. The Dark Emperor's blood essence wrapped around the heaven-devouring scepter and drilled into it desperately. Oh no! The sudden change was obviously out of the giant tyrant's expectation. In the next moment, the giant tyrant quickly communicated with the heaven-devouring scepter, wanting to retrieve it. It's too late to react now. The corner of the Dark Emperor's lips rose as he swung his tail towards the giant tyrant. The Dark Emperor was excited. As long as he could hold on for a few more minutes, he would be able to gain control of the heaven-devouring scepter. Thus, the Dark Emperor yelled out as he attacked the giant tyrant. "Ningyu, Master Xingyun, come out quickly. No matter what, you have to stop the giant tyrant for 3 minutes. Don't let it get close to the heaven-devouring scepter." The Dark Emperor's words caused the faces of Ningyu and Master Xingyun to drastically change. After exchanging a look, Ningyu and Master Xingyun immediately charged out. Master Xingyun fought the giant tyrant head-on, while Ningyu waited for an opportunity from the side. After all, the giant tyrant was a 9th-grade Earth sovereign. Without absolute confidence, Ningyu did not want to take the risk. Rumble. The Dark Emperor wasn't a match for the giant tyrant. It was so much so that the giant tyrant could kill him with a flip of its hand. However, Master Xingyun was different. He was an 8th grade Earth sovereign with a powerful soul core. With the addition of Master Xingyun, the pressure on the Dark Emperor instantly disappeared. Thanks. After cupping his fists towards Master Xingyun, the Dark Emperor flew towards the Heaven-Devouring Scepter. The Heaven-Devouring Scepter was hard to control. If he only relied on the Dark Emperor's blood essence, he would probably need 3 minutes to fully control it. Judging from Master Xingyun's situation, it was unknown if he could even last 3 minutes. Thus, the Dark Emperor had to find another opportunity to execute the secret technique of the Sky-Devouring Dog Clan to control the Heaven-Devouring Scepter. Reality had proven that Master Xingyun wasn't a match for the giant tyrant. In just a minute, Master Xingyun was already spewing blood from his mouth with his face turning pale. I've changed my mind. I don't want you to be my slave. I want to devour you alive. The giant tyrant fixed its gaze on Master Xingyun as it continued. I can sense that as long as I devour you alive, there's a high chance that I will reach the quasi-heavenly sovereign realm. If you're sensible, then stay where you are. Otherwise, I'll let you die a horrible death. As it spoke, the giant tyrant moved towards Master Xingyun. Crack, crack. In the process of advancing, the giant Tyrannosaurus concentrated all the pressure in this area on Master Xingyun. The massive pressure caused Master Xingyun's knees to creak, and he couldn't help falling to his knees. 1 minute left. Master Xingyun was calculating the time. There was only 1 minute left from the 3 minutes that the Dark Emperor had mentioned. As long as the Dark Emperor could control the Heaven-Devouring Scepter, he would immediately get Ningyu to open the Ascension Pagoda and take refuge. Since this was the core of the Peerless Killing Array, it wouldn't matter even if the giant tyrant took the Ascension Pagoda away. When he recovered to his peak state, he would be able to appear from the Ascension Pagoda and deal a fatal blow to the giant tyrant. Success! Suddenly, the Dark Emperor yelled from afar. Although he said that he needed 3 minutes, that wasn't the case. The Dark Emperor executed a secret technique to gain control of the Heaven-Devouring Scepter in 2 minutes. Chapter 1458. Chapter 1458. Beast Core. How is this possible? The giant Tyrannosaurus would never have thought that the black dog would seize control of the Heaven-Devouring Scepter in just 2 minutes. One must know that he had left a mark on the Heaven-Devouring Scepter. That black dog was only a human sovereign? The colossal tyrant had the urge to vomit blood. A human sovereign actually erased the mark he left in the devouring scepter. If someone said this to him previously, he would probably call that person a fool. But this kind of thing really happened. What was terrifying was that the devouring scepter no longer belonged to him. Phew! Seeing that the Dark Emperor had taken control of the devouring scepter, Master Xingyun let out a long sigh of relief. The reason why Master Xingyun had such an expression was because the immense pressure around him had disappeared in an instant. The disappearance of the pressure meant that Master Xingyun's fighting strength had returned to its peak. In other words, Master Xingyun was fearless against the colossal tyrant again and could easily win. After all, the colossal tyrant was only a 9th grade Earth Supreme, not a half-heaven Supreme. Nothing is impossible. The Dark Emperor wrapped the devouring scepter with his tail and walked towards the colossal tyrant. A moment later, the Dark Emperor arrived before the colossal tyrant. You have 2 choices. The Dark Emperor didn't beat around the bush at all. He went straight to the point and said, "First, become my slave. Second, die." Roar. Hearing the Dark Emperor's words, the great tyrant raised its head and roared furiously. The colossal tyrant wanted to devour the Dark Emperor, but it had a lingering fear. To control the devouring scepter, it had forcefully extracted its beast core from its body and inserted it into the devouring scepter. Now that the devouring scepter was in the Dark Emperor's hands, its strength would instantly fall to rock bottom if the Dark Emperor destroyed its beast core. At that time, it might even die without a burial. What? Do you want to die? The Dark Emperor raised his brows. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. No, no, the giant tyrant hurriedly said. I'm willing to become your slave and listen to your orders. Are you sure? The Dark Emperor was uncertain. No matter what, the giant tyrant was a ninth-grade Earth sovereign and a peak ninth-grade Earth sovereign at that. In the Dark Emperor's opinion, if he wanted to control the big tyrant, he would definitely have to go through a lot of trouble. Who would have thought that the giant tyrant would be so spineless? Yes. The giant tyrant nodded hurriedly, fearing that the Dark Emperor would go back on his words. All right, then relax your mind. Although the Dark Emperor didn't really trust the colossal tyrant, he had to give it a chance since the colossal tyrant had put it this way. Bang! The giant tyrant suddenly sat upright on the ground and slowly relaxed its mind. Grandmaster Xingyun, be careful later. If the giant tyrant dares to do anything out of line, kill it immediately. Like the Dark Emperor, Ningyu did not trust the great tyrant either. Therefore, Ningyu secretly contacted Master Xingyun and asked him to monitor the giant tyrant. In its current state, the great Tyrannosaurus was no match for Master Nebula. Now, as expected, the colossal tyrant did not have any good intentions. Just as the Dark Emperor approached it, it suddenly opened its bloody mouth, wanting to swallow the Dark Emperor into its stomach. The colossal tyrant's idea was very simple. The heaven-devouring scepter contained its beast core, and the heaven-devouring scepter was in the hands of the Dark Emperor. As long as it swallowed the Dark Emperor and the heaven-devouring scepter together, not only would the beast core be safe, it would also be able to regain control of the heaven-devouring scepter. However, the ideal was very rich, but the reality was very harsh. Just as the colossal tyrant opened its bloody mouth, the Dark Emperor turned into an afterimage and disappeared. The Dark Emperor disappeared, but Grandmaster Xingyun appeared in front of the colossal tyrant. Bang, bang, bang. Not long ago, Grandmaster Xingyun was attacked by the colossal tyrant to the point that he could not retaliate at all. Now, Grandmaster Xingyun finally had a chance to be arrogant. His right hand started to work, and he threw out a few punches, each punch landing on the colossal tyrant's head. Although the colossal tyrant's head was very big, under the terrifying bombardment of Grandmaster Xingyun's punches, it still continuously spat out blood. Not long after, the colossal tyrant's head expanded again, dying. Roughly a few minutes later, Grandmaster Xingyun clenched his right fist and threw it towards the colossal tyrant's heart, along with a violent gale. Plop! Grandmaster Xingyun did not hold back in this punch. The outcome was predictable. Under Grandmaster Xingyun's terrifying attack, the colossal tyrant's heart was pierced and it fell backwards. Only at the last moment before its death did the colossal tyrant wake up. If it wasn't for its arrogance and bringing out the heaven-devouring scepter, Ningyu and the rest would be the ones dying. But it was useless now. The colossal tyrant's eyes rolled over and it died on the spot. After killing the colossal tyrant, Grandmaster Xingyun took a deep breath and the grave expression on his face slightly eased up. The colossal tyrant was a pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereign, and the reason why he could kill it so easily was because of the Dark Emperor. Ningyu, the colossal tyrant, is a pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereign, and there's a terrifying energy in its body. Do you want to? Grandmaster Xingyun looked at Ningyu and said, whoosh. Halfway through Grandmaster Xingyun's words, the Dark Emperor's heaven-devouring scepter flew out and landed before the colossal tyrant. Sizzle, sizzle. A terrifying, devouring energy gushed out from the heaven-devouring scepter. Practically in an instant, the colossal tyrant that was a pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereign was only left with a layer of skin. This sudden change left Ningyu and Grandmaster Xingyun speechless. The heaven-devouring scepter was truly terrifying to be able to devour even a pinnacle 9th grade Earth sovereign so quickly. Dark Emperor, I can give you the heaven-devouring scepter, but you can't possibly leave nothing for us, right? Ningyu stared at the Dark Emperor as he sourly said, don't be anxious. I can give you the beast core of the colossal tyrant. The Dark Emperor was a little awkward as he flipped the heaven-devouring scepter and took out a beast core and threw it towards Ningyu. Boom! Catching the beast core, Ningyu was speechless. This is the beast core of the colossal tyrant. Why is there only less than 5% of the energy in it? Ningyu waved the beast core in his hand and said, "If it wasn't for our help, how could you obtain the heaven-devouring scepter? Aren't you being a little insincere by doing this?" "Who are we? How is this insincere?" The Dark Emperor started to play dumb. "I will be going into seclusion. Unless it's a life-and-death situation, don't contact me." As he spoke, the Dark Emperor brought the heaven-devouring scepter, and his silhouette flashed, entering the interspatial ring. After entering the interspatial ring, a voice resounded in Ningyu's ears. Chapter 1459. Chapter 1459. Chapter 1459. Ninth grade human sovereign. You want to fight 10 alone? I'll beat you until you don't know where you're going. Ningyu's mind sank into the spatial ring, wanting to teach the Dark Emperor a lesson on the spot. Don't. No matter how strong I am, I won't hit you. Our relationship is very strong. I'll hit anyone but you. The Dark Emperor anxiously begged for mercy. Although the Dark Emperor had the heaven-devouring scepter, and the heaven-devouring scepter had devoured the big tyrant, the Dark Emperor had almost no chance of winning against Ningyu. Firstly, the heaven-devouring scepter had absorbed too much energy and was currently digesting it, so it could not unleash much of its power. He himself had also secretly devoured a lot of energy and urgently needed time to recuperate, so he could not fight with Ningyu. How long will your closed-door cultivation take? Ningyu did not really want to fight the Dark Emperor, so he asked. It's hard to say. At least 10 days to half a month, and at most 1 to 3 months. The Dark Emperor shook his head and said, "To tell you the truth, when I come out of seclusion, my cultivation will at least be at the Earth Supreme stage. You'd better raise your cultivation to the Earth Supreme stage. Don't let me advance to the Earth Supreme stage while you're still at the Mortal Sovereign stage." Ningyu did not want to waste words with the Dark Emperor here, so he directly exited the spatial ring. I carefully observed this place just now and discovered that after the death of the big tyrant, this place has returned to normal. Seeing Ningyu appear, Master Xingyun said in a deep voice, "Let's leave now, or stay here. Wait a little longer. I want to devour the beast core of the big tyrant." After pondering for a moment, Ningyu said, "Although the beast core of the big tyrant only has less than half of its energy left, it is still very useful to me. All right, I'll protect you." Master Xingyun nodded, then took a few steps back and looked around vigilantly. Although this place was already very safe after the death of the big tyrant, it was always good to be careful. With Master Xingyun protecting him, Ningyu did not have any worries. He directly sat cross-legged on the ground and directly threw the beast core of the big tyrant into his mouth. Kacha! The beast core shattered, and a terrifying energy surged into Ningyu's consciousness. Although the beast core of the giant tyrant only had less than 5% of its energy left, this amount of energy was enough to make Ningyu feel a little overwhelmed. Spirit transformation art. With a thought, Ningyu hurriedly activated the spirit transformation technique and began to cultivate. Under the guidance of the spirit transformation art, the energy within the beast core was quickly refined in Ningyu's sea of consciousness. Too slow. Ningyu frowned slightly. At this rate, he estimated that it would take him a few days to completely absorb the energy in the beast core. Suppress him. Gritting his teeth, Ningyu gathered all of his peak 8th grade soul force in his sea of consciousness and controlled the energy inside the beast core. After that, Ningyu made a series of hand seals and recalled the cultivation methods of the 7th and 8th stages of the spirit transformation method in his mind. This time, Ningyu wanted to directly cultivate the spirit transformation method to the 8th stage. For the current Ningyu, the 6th stage of the spirit transformation method was no longer enough to support him to quickly recover his vitality. Only by cultivating the spirit transformation method to the 8th stage could he maintain that rapid recovery speed. Chi-Chi. Although he had cultivated the 7th and 8th stages of the spirit transformation method in his previous life, Ningyu still felt the pressure when cultivating again in this life. Only when there was pressure would there be motivation. Ningyu was not discouraged. He closed his eyes slightly and began to wholeheartedly immerse himself in cultivating the spirit transformation method. Time flew. In the blink of an eye, half an hour had passed. After half an hour of all-out cultivation, Ningyu finally cultivated the spirit transformation method to the 7th stage. Again, Ningyu was not satisfied with the 7th stage of the spirit transformation method. He closed his eyes slightly and began to cultivate again. Another half an hour passed. Cultivating the 7th stage of the spirit transformation method required half an hour. Half an hour was not enough for the 8th stage. Ningyu continued to cultivate. It was not until an hour had passed that Ningyu let out a long breath. There was a hint of excitement between his brows. 1.5 hours to cultivate the spirit transformation method from the 7th stage to the 8th stage. Even in his previous life, he could not compare to this speed. Devour. After cultivating the spirit transformation method to the 8th stage, Ningyu immediately activated the spirit transformation method and began to devour and refine the energy in his consciousness. As he continued to devour, the energy in Ningyu's consciousness was decreasing at a visible rate. At this rate, Ningyu would be able to devour all the energy in 3 to 4 hours at most. Time continued to pass. In the blink of an hour had passed. Bang! After an hour of devouring and refining, a dull sound suddenly came from Ningyu's consciousness. A late-stage, 8th stage, human supreme. In an hour, his cultivation had advanced from a mid-stage, 8th stage, human supreme to a late-stage, 8th stage, human supreme. It would not be an exaggeration to describe this speed as terrifying. He actually advanced to a late-stage, 8th stage, human supreme. Feeling the aura emitted from Ningyu, Master Xing Yun frowned slightly. He was a little shocked. He had founded the Nebula Academy for many years and had seen many geniuses. However, he had never met a peerless genius like Ningyu. There is still a lot of energy in the giant tyrant's beast core. If Ningyu completely devours it, I wonder what level his cultivation will reach. Master Xing Yun observed the changes around him while staring at Ningyu. He wanted to see what level Ningyu could reach. Bang! Another half an hour passed. Another dull sound came from Ningyu's consciousness. A peak 8th stage human supreme. Bang! Another half an hour passed. A dull sound came from Ningyu's consciousness for the 3rd time. Different from the previous 3 times, the dull sound this time was loud. A 9th stage human supreme. Ningyu advanced from a peak 8th stage human supreme to a 9th stage human supreme. I'm a 9th stage human supreme now. I wonder if I can reach the peak 9th stage human supreme. Master Xing Yun's expression was extremely solemn. If an ordinary middle phase 8th grade sovereign were to obtain the beast core of the great tyrant beast, they would probably be able to reach the pinnacle 9th grade sovereign realm. However, Ningyu was a freak, so Master Xing Yun was not sure if Ningyu could advance to a 9th stage human supreme. But Ningyu was a freak, so Master Xing Yun was not sure if Ningyu could advance to a 9th stage human supreme. Whoosh! After advancing to a 9th stage human supreme, Ningyu let out a long breath and slowly opened his eyes. Sensing the changes in his sea of consciousness, Ningyu showed some excitement between his brows. The giant tyrant was really a timely help. If not for its beast core, Ningyu would not have been able to advance to a 9th stage human supreme in such a short time. Inyan Palm. Although he had advanced to a 9th stage human supreme, Ningyu was not very satisfied with his strength. With his current strength, he could easily kill a 2nd stage Earth Supreme, but he could only contend with a 3rd stage Earth Supreme. If he encountered a powerful 3rd stage Earth Supreme, he could only regret it. Therefore, Ningyu was not in a hurry to leave. He wanted to practice the Netherworld Samsara Palm. Inyan Palm was the 10th move of the Netherworld Samsara Palm. It was extremely powerful. Chapter 1460. Inyan Palm. Inyan Palm. Ningyu wasn't an indecisive person. He briefly recalled the cultivation method of the Inyan Palm in his mind. Then, he waved his hands repeatedly and began to cultivate. Yin in the left hand, Yang in the right. The power of Inyan Palm was, in a sense, countless times stronger than Universe Palm. The reason why Ningyu didn't use the Universe Palm during this period of time was that the power of the Universe Palm was too weak to deal with his current opponents. But Inyan Palm was different. Inyan Palm was the 10th palm of Netherworld Samsara Palm, and its power was several times greater than the previous 9 palms. If Ningyu could successfully cultivate it, it wouldn't be a problem for his strength to double. Pucci. While Ningyu was fully focused on cultivating Inyan Palm, outside the stone room where the killing formation was, the palace master suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, her face extremely pale. "Palace master, are you all right?" Fairy Yun, she hurriedly asked when she saw the palace master's condition. "That mysterious expert from 100 Flowers Palace has started to attack my body. I need to use the soul attraction technique as soon as possible." Wiping the blood from the corner of her mouth, the palace master said solemnly, "Think of a way to contact Ningyu and get them to break the killing formation as soon as possible. No, this stone door is very special. My soul power can't penetrate it." Fairy Yin, she shook her head, her expression extremely grave. "Use brute force to break it open," the palace master said coldly, displaying the viciousness of a palace master. Fairy Yun, she nodded, then clenched her right hand into a fist and punched the stone door. Bang! A terrifying force spread out with the stone door as the center. But very quickly, this force was absorbed by the stone door and turned into nothingness. 100 Flower Fan. Fairy Yun, she seemed to have expected this result. She flicked her wrist, and the 100 Flower Fan appeared in her hand. Swish! 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 She fanned the 100 Flower Fan repeatedly, and several gusts of yuan qi swept out, abruptly blasting at the stone door. Bang! Bang! What happened next caused Fairy Yun Shi and the palatial mistress' hearts to sink to rock bottom. Several gusts of yuan qi slammed into the stone door. However, the result was not satisfactory. After the origin qi blasted against the stone door, it did not last long before it was absorbed by the stone door and turned into nothingness. Pucci. Such a situation caused the palace master to spit out another mouthful of scarlet red blood, and her countenance grew even paler. Damn it! Cursing inwardly, the palace mistress of the 100 Flowers Palace gritted her teeth and said, "I don't care anymore. Go out and preside over the situation. No matter what, you have to buy me 3 days. I know that this is very unfair to you, but whether the Flower Palace can be taken back completely depends on." At first, the palatial lord was filled with grief and indignation. She even believed that Fairy Yun, she would definitely die. But soon, she discovered some clues. Rumble. A terrifying voice came from behind the stone door. Kacha! Then, the stone door shattered, and 2 figures dashed out from within. Ningyu, Master Xingyan? Both the palace mistress and Fairy Yun, she revealed surprised expressions when they saw the 2 figures that had appeared abruptly. They'd thought that Master Xing Yun and Ningyu had been trapped inside, but who would have imagined that they would actually come out at such a critical moment? Most importantly, they'd even activated the core of the formation and activated the Peerless Slaughter formation. So long as the Peerless Slaughter formation was activated, then with the current resources of Giant Shield City, it would be able to easily last for 3 days. Palace Mistress of the 100 Flowers Palace. That's an entirely different matter. I spent a few 100,000 Emperor-grade origin crystals to activate the Peerless Slaughter formation. Once you reclaim the Flower Palace, I want 4 treasures within the treasure vault, and it'll cost a few 100,000 Emperor-grade origin crystals. Ningyu went straight to the point and didn't waste his breath. No problem. The palace mistress nodded and said, "I'll start executing soul attraction right now. Is there anything I should pay attention to?" After all, it was Ningyu who taught her soul attraction, so it wasn't wrong to ask Ningyu's opinion before executing it. "There's one thing I need to pay attention to." Ningyu's expression was solemn as he said, "After you succeed, you must kill your way into the Flower Palace within 3 days and snatch your main body. Otherwise, I'm afraid that mysterious expert will harm you." "I know that," the palace mistress said. If there's nothing else, let's go out first. You can execute soul attraction here. After saying that, Ningyu and Master Xingyun walked out together. Seeing Ningyu's departing figure, the palace mistress of the Hundred Flowers Palace was a little dumbfounded. You really believe me? After all, I've never executed the soul attraction technique. What if something goes wrong? What should I do? However, Ningyu and Master Xingyun had already left, so it wasn't convenient for the palace mistress to ask too many questions. Fairy Yun Shi, go out and take charge of the situation. Also, seal this place for me. Unless Ningyu comes, no one else can enter. The palace mistress of the Hundred Flowers Palace shook her head, then sat down cross-legged and said in a deep voice, once the peerless killing formation is activated, unless a supreme expert appears, there's no way to open it within 3 days. You must tightly shut the city gate. You must not open it no matter what. Understood. Fairy Yun, she nodded, then bid farewell to the palace mistress and left with the Hundred Flowers fan. Soul attraction, I hope it works. After Fairy Yun Shi and the others left, the palace mistress of the Hundred Flowers Palace sighed and murmured, success or failure depends on this. If I don't become a king, I'll become a bandit. Swoosh, swoosh. Ningyu didn't know what the palace mistress of the Hundred Flowers Palace was thinking, nor did he want to know. After leaving the formation core, Ningyu rushed to the Giant Shield Pavilion without stopping. Giant Shield Pavilion. At this moment, in the main hall of the Giant Shield Pavilion, 8 to 9 warriors were sitting in 2 rows. Senior Guangzhan, are you sure that Ningyu is fine? Lu Wei suddenly stood up from her chair and asked. Hearing Lu Wei's words, Guangzhan rolled his eyes and said, this is already the 700th time you've asked this in an hour. On average, it's every 4 to 5 seconds. Can't you be a little more at ease? I can't be at ease. Even now, we still don't know whether Ningyu is dead or alive. How can I be at ease? Lu Wei said, Bai Dun and Bai Qi aren't good people. If Ningyu leaves with them, he'll definitely be in danger. There will definitely be danger, but it won't be life-threatening. Guangzhan shook his head. Outside the giant shield city, it was because of Ningyu's help that Fairy Yun Shi and Taoist Master GMO had a way to trap Tuahi. Now that it was said that the Hundred Flowers City had sent an army to attack, there was no reason for her not to protect Ningyu at such a dangerous time. No, I still have to think of a way to see Ningyu. After thinking about it, Lu Wei said in a deep voice, Bai Qi is someone who could do anything. If Ningyu falls into his hands, even if he doesn't die, he'll be tortured badly. What? You want to torture me? Chapter 1461. Mysterious Aura, Ningyu? Hearing the voice coming from outside the giant shield pavilion, Lu Wei was stunned at first. Then she hurriedly turned her head. Looking at the thin figure at the entrance of the giant shield pavilion, Lu Wei's face was filled with joy. That thin figure was none other than Ningyu. This time, Master Xingyun was not with Ningyu. He and Fairy Yun, she had gone to the tower of the giant shield city to confront the experts from the Hundred Flower City. Since the peerless killing formation had been opened, the experts from the Hundred Flower City would not be able to attack in a short period of time. So Ningyu came to the giant shield pavilion to look for Lu Wei and the rest. Genuine goods at fair prices. I guarantee you that it's genuine. Ningyu walked into the giant shield pavilion and casually found a chair to sit on. Are you guys having a meeting? What meeting? If you didn't come, Lu Wei would have rushed over to save you. Wild Warrior laughed bitterly. Before Ningyu entered the Forbidden Grounds, he had instructed Wild Warrior to ensure the safety of Lu Wei and the rest. Now that Ningyu had returned, Wild Warrior's tense nerves had finally relaxed a little. As long as Ningyu appeared, the situation would improve. At the very least, he could let Lu Wei and the rest enter the Tower of You to take refuge. Why save me? Do I look like I'm going to get into trouble? Ningyu smiled and said to Lu Wei, Don't worry about my safety. The person who can kill me in this world has yet to appear. Stop being so smug. Lu Wei rolled her eyes at Ningyu and said, With the current strength of the giant shield city, it is almost impossible to fight head-on with the Hundred Flower City. Should we continue to stay in the giant shield city, or should we think of a way to leave? Of course we should stay in the giant shield city. Ningyu laughed bitterly. Why? Lu Wei was confused. The Sword of Evil, Mad Warrior, and the others were also confused. Given the current situation, everyone knew that they shouldn't stay in Giant Shield City. Because the army of Hundred Flowers City has returned. They have already surrounded Giant Shield City. Even a fly can't leave Giant Shield City, let alone us, Ningyu explained. After some thought, Ningyu added, from now on, you can move about freely in the City Lord's mansion. No one will do anything to you. Let's not. Bai Dun is a 9th grade Earth Sovereign. With him in the City Lord's mansion, it's better for us to keep a low profile. Lu Wei said solemnly. In Lu Wei's view, only Berserker was a 9th grade Earth Sovereign, and he wasn't as powerful as Bai Shield. If White Shield were to forcefully attack them, they would have to bear the consequences. After all, White Shield was the City Lord of Giant Shield City. He was extremely powerful. Bai Dun is dead, and Bai Qi. No, Bai Qi isn't dead. Aside from Bai Qi, everyone close to Bai Dun in the City Lord's mansion should be dead. Ningyu shrugged. After leaving the Array Core, Ningyu handed Bai Dun to the Law of Space and the sapling for them to devour. After all, they had helped Ningyu a lot in the Vortex. There was no reason for Ningyu to refuse if they wanted Bai Dun to devour them. As for Bai Qi, Ningyu didn't plan to kill him. There was an extremely terrifying energy in Bai Qi's body, and that energy was very useful to Ningyu. If he used it well, it could have unexpected effects. Dead? Hearing Ningyu's words, Lu Wei and the others widened their eyes in disbelief. Bai Dun was a 9th grade Earth Sovereign, the absolute overlord of Giant Shield City. Who could kill him? Could it be Master Xingyan? Lu Wei and the rest might not know, but Quang Zhan knew. With Ningyu's strength, it was impossible for him to kill Bai Dun. If Bai Dun was dead, then there was only one explanation. Master Xingyan had made a move. Ningyu, I wonder if Master Xingyan is. Quang Zhan hesitated. Master Xingyan is on the city wall. You can go look for him now. Ningyu was very generous and did not ask Quang Zhan to stay. Since he was there to watch the battle from the city wall, it didn't matter if it was earlier or later. Thank you. Quang Zhan cupped his fist towards Ningyu before he tore through space and disappeared. Some of you have reached the 9th grade Earth Sovereign Realm, and some have reached the quasi-heavenly Sovereign Realm. These Emperor-grade Yuan crystals are for you. After Quang Zhan left, Ningyu took out an interspatial pouch and threw it to Lu Wei. Activating the Array Core had consumed tens of thousands of Emperor-grade Yuan crystals. In other words, Ningyu only had a total of 10,000 Emperor-grade Yuan crystals on him. After receiving the interspatial pouch, Lu Wei did not stand on ceremony with Ningyu. She distributed the Emperor-grade Yuan crystals one by one. Their cultivation had been improving rapidly during this period of time, and they needed some Emperor-grade Yuan crystals to stabilize their cultivation. Ningyu taking out so many Emperor-grade Yuan crystals was like sending charcoal in snowy weather. I'm going to take a look at the city wall. Do you want to come with me? Asked Ningyu when he saw the Sword of Evil and the others receiving the Emperor-grade Yuan crystals. I'm not going. I just reached the quasi-Earth Sovereign Realm not long ago, and I need to find a way to stabilize my aura. The first to refuse was Sage Spirit Su. Sage Spirit Su was currently a quasi-Earth Sovereign, and his aura was not very stable. He wanted to use this time to stabilize his aura. I'm staying too. The second to refuse was Dan Guzi. Dan Guzi's soul force was very strong, and he could sense that Giant Shield City had activated the formation. In a short period of time, the experts from Hundred Flower City would not be able to attack. Staying behind to stabilize his cultivation was the most important thing. I'm not going either. The Sword of Evil also refused. In the end, only Lu Wei wanted to take a look at the city wall. Lu Wei had a violet spirit body. Not only could she advance rapidly, but her ability to stabilize her cultivation was also terrifying. She didn't need to stay behind to stabilize her cultivation. You guys rest here. We'll be leaving first. Ningyu didn't force the issue. He grabbed Lu Wei and rushed toward the city wall. Swish! Swish! Ningyu and Lu Wei left the City Lord's mansion with incredible speed. In practically an instant, they were far away. Not long after leaving the city lord's mansion, Ning Yu suddenly stopped. "What's going on?" asked Lu Wei. Seeing Ning Yu stop, she was puzzled. "I sense an extremely familiar aura." Ning Yu frowned, feeling that something was off. This aura was extremely similar to the one he had encountered in the secret realm. Could it be that he's here? Ning Yu's expression was grave. The he Ning Yu spoke was Xie Yi of the Pill God clan. Xie Yi cultivated the myriad embodiment transformation grand art. He could turn into millions of spirits. In the secret realm, Ning Yu had fought with him and knew how powerful he was. That clone hadn't ranked very high among all of Xie Yi's clones. If Ning Yu's avatar had been ranked in the top 50 at that time, it was still unknown whether Ning Yu would still be alive now. Haha, you really are extraordinary. I just released a bit of my aura, and you sensed it. Chapter 1462. Chapter 1462. Cloud Return Tower. Cloud Return Tower's third floor. Hearing this, a cold expression appeared on Ning Yu's face. It was Xie Yi indeed. Xie Yi told him that Lu and I had the purple spirit body and asked him to go to the third floor of the Tower of Clouds. This meant that Xie Yi was confident. Ning Yu's face was solemn as he thought of a plan. It was dangerous to bring Lu Wei there. If Xie Yi's clone was ranked in the top 50, it would be extremely powerful. If it didn't bring Lu Wei, Ning Yu was afraid that there would be other clones in Giant Shield City. After all, Xie Yi had almost reached the initial success realm in the Boundless Secret Realm and could create 99 clones. If it wasn't for Ning Yu killing one of his clones in the Empty Secret Realm, he would have reached the initial success realm in the Boundless Secret Realm. That's right, the third floor of the Cloud Return Tower. See you there. After saying this, Xie Yi's aura disappeared. No matter how hard Ning Yu searched, he couldn't find him. Looks like Xie Yi's clone is very close to the front. Taking a deep breath, Ning Yu said to Lu Wei, "Turn around. We're going to the Cloud Return Tower." This was Giant Shield City anyway. If he was in danger, Master Xing Yun and Fairy Yun, she could come quickly. Plus, Ning Yu had already advanced to the 9th grade Human Supreme and mastered the Yin Yang Palm. Even if he met Xie Yi's clone, he could still fight it. All right. Lu Wei knew that Ning Yu must have his reasons for wanting to go to the Cloud Return Tower. So she didn't ask much and followed behind Ning Yu, heading towards the Cloud Return Tower. How many? Not long after, Ning Yu and Lu Wei stopped in front of the Cloud Return Tower. An Yuan Dan realm servant walked up and said respectfully, "The two of you bring us to the third floor." Ning Yu did not want to waste time. He directly stated his intention. "Someone is waiting for us on the third floor." The Primordial Core realm manservant felt a little awkward. Not long ago, a young man came to the Clouds Returning Inn and booked the entire place. That young man only had one request, and that was to not let anyone enter the third level within an hour. Of course, even if he couldn't go to the third floor, he could still go to the other floors. Although this request was very strange, the owner of Cloud's Returning Pavilion was very happy to make a little more money. As the saying goes, if you take someone's money, you will help them avoid disaster. Since Cloud's Returning Pavilion had taken the young man's origin crystal, they would naturally act according to his wishes. "Sorry, except for the third floor, you can go anywhere," the Yuan Dan realm manservant said. "We must go to the third floor," Ning Yu said expressionlessly. Please don't make things difficult for me. I'm just a doorkeeper." The Yuan Dan realm manservant was embarrassed. He knew very well that the man and woman before him were both human supremacies. Moreover, they were both high-level human supremacies. He was only a Yuan Dan realm cultivator. If he angered them, he would definitely suffer. "How about this? I'll call the owner over," the Yuan Dan realm manservant said carefully. He was afraid of angering Ning Yu and Lu Wei. Sorry for the trouble. Ning Yu is not an unreasonable person. After all, the Clouds Returning Pavilion was someone else's trump card. It wouldn't be good to cause trouble here. Russell. The Yuan Dan realm manservant quickly turned around and entered the Clouds Returning Pavilion. Creak. Not long after, a middle-aged man slowly walked out of the Clouds Returning Pavilion. 5th grade Earth Sovereign. Sensing the middle-aged man's aura, Ningyu's face turned grave. With his current strength, facing a fifth-grade Earth Sovereign would only mean death. If I've guessed correctly, you should be Ningyu. The middle-aged man first looked at Ningyu and said, I'm sorry, but the Cloud's returning pavilion has been booked. Please come another day. Sorry. Ningyu seemed to have changed his mind. He grabbed Lu Wei's hand and left. Seeing Ningyu leave, the middle-aged man's mouth was slightly opened. He was a little dumbfounded. What's going on? Why isn't Ningyu playing his cards according to common sense? Shouldn't he first ask how to get to the third level of the Cloud's returning pavilion before bargaining? Why did he just turn around and leave without giving any leeway? Please wait. Recalling the words of the man on the third level of the Cloud's returning pavilion, the middle-aged man called out to Ningyu. As long as you can receive 3 moves from me, I will immediately arrange a room for you on the third level. Ningyu did not even turn his head. What a joke. 3 moves from you. Isn't that nonsense? You're a 5th grader sovereign, while I'm only an initial phase 9th grader sovereign. The two of us aren't on the same level. Not to mention 3 moves, I won't even be able to receive 1 move from you. 2 moves, the middle-aged man yelled, trying to change Ningyu's mind. However, Ningyu still did not turn around. 1 move. The middle-aged man ruthlessly reduced the 3 moves to 1 move. The young man on the third level of the Cloud's returning pavilion had said that if Ningyu could exchange a move with him, he would give him 50,000 Emperor-grade origin crystals. Exchanging pointers for 3 moves was worth 150,000 Emperor-grade origin crystals. Initially, the middle-aged man was determined to obtain 150,000 Emperor-grade origin crystals. But now, it looked like it would be pretty good if he could obtain 50,000 Emperor-grade origin crystals. Ningyu stopped abruptly when he heard the middle-aged man say that he only needed to block 1 move. Turning around, Ningyu returned to the main entrance of the Cloud's returning pavilion. If you can withstand 1 move from me, I'll let you enter the third level of the Cloud's returning pavilion. Seeing that Ningyu had returned, the middle-aged man let out a long sigh and said, As for me, I don't want to withstand 1, 2, or 3 moves from you. I just want to know if I can enter the third level of the Cloud's returning pavilion. Ningyu shrugged. You. Hearing Ningyu's words, the middle-aged man gnashed his teeth in anger. He was a 5th-grade Earth Sovereign, while Ningyu was only a 9th-grade Earth Sovereign. How dare Ningyu speak to him in such a manner when there was a huge gap between their cultivation? What's wrong? You can't enter? Ningyu raised his brows and regretfully said, Then I'll be taking my leave. You can enter. The middle-aged man was furious. He gnashed his teeth and said, The third level of the Cloud's returning pavilion. I'm afraid that you won't be able to return alive. You don't have to worry about that. Ningyu smiled at the middle-aged man and strode into the Cloud's returning pavilion. Dong, dong, dong. After entering the Cloud's returning pavilion, Ningyu did not stop for long. Instead, he moved towards the third level. Just as the middle-aged man had said, the spacious Cloud's returning pavilion was empty. Apart from him and Lu Wei, there was no one else. Ningyu, what are we doing here? I think you've offended the boss of the Cloud's returning pavilion, and the boss is a 5th-grade Earth Sovereign. Lu Wei was a little worried. After all, the Cloud's returning pavilion was a powerful force in Giant Shield City. Offending them was destined to be disastrous. It's fine. I'll deal with it when it comes. Ningyu waved his hand and said, Not to mention that the boss of the Cloud's returning pavilion is a 5th-grade Earth Sovereign. Even if he's a 9th-grade Earth Sovereign, I would still dare to enter. Pa pa pa. In an instant, several crisp sounds came from the third level of the Cloud's returning pavilion. Creak. Chapter 1463. News from the bloodthirsty wolves Xie. Looking at the young man who suddenly appeared, Ningyu's expression was devoid of joy or sorrow. He said indifferently, Speak. Why did you send me here? On the surface, Ningyu looked very calm, but in fact, he was extremely surprised. The cultivation of Xie's clone was at least a 3rd-grade Earth Sovereign. This meant that Xie was not much weaker than Bai Qi at his peak. In fact, he might even be stronger. It's nothing important. I just wanted to have a chat with you. Xie Yi shrugged. I'm sorry, but if it's just a chat, I don't think I have the time. As he spoke, Ningyu turned his head, intending to leave the cloud-returning pavilion. Haha, don't be in such a hurry. Don't you want to know where the two wolves that left the secret realm are? Seeing that Ningyu was about to leave, Xie Yi's lips curled. If you leave just like that, I can't guarantee that something will happen. Whoosh! Hearing this, Ningyu's heart skipped a beat. Ever since he left the secret realm, he hadn't seen the two wolves. In the past, he thought that they were high-rank Earth Supreme and wouldn't be in danger. Now, it seemed like he was wrong. Very wrong. More accurately, it was the blood-thirsty, frenzied wolf and the rest that had fallen into Xie Yi's hands. Where are they? Ningyu said in a deep voice with a solemn expression. Haha, let's talk inside. Smiling, Xie Yi turned and entered the room. Since Xie Yi had put it this way, Ningyu couldn't just leave. After all, the two bloodthirsty berserk wolves had helped him many times in the empty realm. Now that they were in trouble, Ningyu had to save them no matter what. Be careful. Ningyu grabbed Lu Wei's arm and walked towards the third floor. Not long later, Ningyu arrived at the third floor and stood in front of Xie Yi's room. Come in. In the room, Xie Yi's tone was calm, and one could not tell if he was happy or angry. Stay behind me. The calmer Xie Yi was, the more serious Ningyu's face became. He protected Lu Wei behind him and pushed out with his right hand. Creak! The door was slowly pushed open. After opening the door, Ningyu pulled Lu Wei and strode in. Very good. Seeing Ningyu enter the room, Xie Yi nodded his head. You have two choices now. 1. Submit to me. 2. I will kill those two wolves. Be more realistic. Don't talk about useless things. Ningyu first probed the room with his perception, then said, I will never submit to you. Either you hand over ferocious bloodlust, Mad Wolf, and the others, or I'll cripple this clone of yours. Ha ha ha. Evil One felt like he had just heard the funniest joke in the world. He laughed maniacally and said coldly, Those two wolves are not here. They're in the army outside the city. If you want to save them, it's not impossible. But you have to leave Giant Shield City with me and try your luck with 100 Flower City army. Hearing this, Ningyu's face turned ugly. Try his luck with the 100 Flower City army? That was no different from suicide. Not just him. Even Fairy Yin Shi and Jinrinimo didn't dare to enter the army. What? You're not willing? Xie Yi pouted. If you're not willing, I can't help you. I'm curious. This clone of yours doesn't have the ability to kill me. Why did you lure me here? By now, Ningyu had completely calmed down. He was terrifyingly calm. After analyzing, he was certain that Xie Yi's clone had no way of killing him. If not, with Xie Yi's personality, he would have killed him long ago. He wouldn't have waited until now. Xie Yi's eyes flashed for a moment, but he quickly regained his composure. You said that I can't kill you. Why don't we try? A sinister smile rose on the corner of Xie Yi's lips. This clone of mine is a third-grade Earth Sovereign, while you're only a ninth-grade Mortal Sovereign. I'll see how capable you are. With the word patience, Xie Yi stomped on the ground and dashed towards Ningyu. Pissed. As he charged, Xie Yi clenched his right fist and punched at Ningyu's head. Luckily, Xie Yi should be slightly weaker than Bai Qi. Ningyu compared Xie Yi's and Bai Qi's strengths. He realized that Bai Qi could easily defeat Xie Yi with his full strength. With Ningyu's current strength, he wouldn't be a match for Bai Qi at his peak. But against Xie Yi, he could win. Yin-yang palm. At this critical moment, Ningyu formed a series of hand seals and pushed out. As Ningyu pushed out, two palm prints flew out from his palms and collided with Xie Yi's fist. Boom! The moment the palm print clashed with Xie Yi's fist, Xie Yi was sent flying backwards like a broken kite. Crack! He crashed heavily against the table and chairs behind him. In an instant, all the chairs in the room broke and were smashed into pieces. You do have some strength, but if you want to fight me, no, Xie Yi said coldly. He did not gain the upper hand. However, just as Xie Yi finished his sentence, he quickly retreated. Ningyu's second palm print had also arrived before him and slammed against his chest. Puchi! A huge force came from his chest, causing Xie Yi to fly backwards once again. Damn it! The sudden change made Xie Yi's face turn dark. The yin-yang palm that Ningyu had executed was indeed heaven-defying. If it wasn't for his cultivation reaching grade 3 Earth Supreme, he would have been defeated. Ningyu, you've angered me. I'll skin you alive. Xie Yi went berserk. He wanted to kill Ningyu and let Ningyu die without a burial. Come out. In that instant, Xie Yi formed seals with both hands and waved them. Not long after, a few cultivators that looked similar to Xie Yi appeared in the room. Russell. When those cultivators appeared, they did not hesitate and immediately attacked Ningyu. However, the strength of these cultivators was much weaker than Xie Yi. Their cultivation was only at grade 1 Earth Supreme, and they could not pose any threat to Ningyu. Puff, 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 puff. Ningyu held onto the red demonic sword and started a massacre in the room. Before long, the few martial artists that appeared later were all killed by Ningyu without exception. Ningyu, how dare you kill my clone? Seeing the few martial artists die, Xie Yi said coldly, when we were in the empty secret territory, you destroyed one of my clones, causing me to be unable to train my 1,000 free embodiment technique to its peak. Now that you've killed my clone, I will make you beg for death. Come out, giant tyrant. Xie Yi made a grabbing motion with his right hand and space shattered. A massive creature charged out from a void. Ningyu, this is the giant tyrant. You will definitely die in its hands today. Chapter 1464. Chapter 1464. Chapter 1464 Call for Help, Giant Tyrant. Ningyu was dumbfounded. Even those first-grade Earth Sovereigns were easily killed by him. Now, Xie Yi had summoned a giant tyrant. What was the meaning of this? This giant tyrant's cultivation was only at the first-grade Earth Sovereign realm, and it didn't seem very powerful. Did Xie Yi think that this giant tyrant could easily kill him? Go, giant tyrant! Xie Yi shouted coldly. Roar! As soon as Evil's voice fell, giant Tyrannosaurus roared at the sky and charged at Ningyu. Die! Ningyu did not care about the gigantic Tyrannosaurus. He held the red demon sword in his hand and slashed downwards. Kacha! A crisp sound rang out. The giant Tyrannosaurus head was chopped off on the spot. Puff! Following that, Ningyu stabbed the red demon's sword into the giant tyrant's heart, directly penetrating it. From start to finish, 3 seconds had passed. In other words, the giant Tyrannosaurus only lasted 3 seconds in Ningyu's hands before it was killed on the spot. Formation Rise. Giant Tyrant's death was within Evil One's expectations. He was not discouraged. Instead, he waved his hands, and 4 pillars of light rose from the 4 corners of the room. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Ha 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 ha. When a light pillar appeared, Xie Yi laughed. Ningyu, this is a killing array. Without my help, you will not be able to escape. Standing in the middle of the array, Ningyu did not speak. Instead, he locked his gaze onto Xie Yi and stared at him. To be honest, Ningyu had no idea what Evil One was up to. What does it have to do with you whether I can escape or not? Ningyu shrugged and said, You didn't lure me here just to trap me here, did you? If you have something to say, just say it. Don't beat around the bush. Actually, it's nothing much. I just want you to take me out of Giant Shield City without anyone knowing. Xie Yi's words shocked everyone. The ultimate killing array had already been activated. It was almost impossible to leave Giant Shield City at this time. Besides, even if they could leave Giant Shield City, it was still very dangerous outside. The army of 100 Flower City had already surrounded Giant Shield City. If they went out, only death awaited them. Why should I help you? Ningyu didn't reject Evil One. He just frowned. Because those 2 bloodthirsty berserk wolves are in my hands. Xie Yi bargained with Ningyu like a merchant. As long as you can bring me out of Giant Shield City, I will release those 2 wolves. Sounds good, but why should I believe you? Ningyu curled his lips and said, You don't have a choice. Either you take the gamble, or I kill the 2 wolves. Xie One said confidently, Looks like I have no other choice. Ningyu slowly closed his eyes and stopped talking. Ningyu did not speak, neither did Xie Yi. In an instant, The room became extremely quiet. Even the sound of breathing could be heard. After a while, Xie said, "Have you thought it through? You don't have a choice. You're trapped in this killing array. As long as I give the order, you will die." I seem to have guessed something. Suddenly, Ningyu opened his eyes and said, "I don't think you have succeeded in the first stage of the freedom transformation art." Ningyu's words caused Xie Yi's eyes to flicker. Taking a deep breath, Xie Yi pretended to be calm. Don't make wild guesses. The few cultivators you just killed were my second stage clones. Their cultivations are all first-grade Earth Sovereigns. I've already started cultivating the second stage of the boundless embodiment technique. This clone of yours is your 100th clone. It is also the key to success in the first stage of the freedom transformation art. Ningyu ignored Xie Yi's words and continued. The rest of your 99 doppelgangers and even your main body are outside Giant Shield City. You want me to send your doppelganger out of Giant Shield City so that you can merge all 100 doppelgangers as soon as possible so that you can master the first stage. Because if you're late, your years of hard work will go to waste, and you will have to recultivate the freedom transformation art. Nonsense. Xie Yi was shocked. He did not expect Ningyu to guess so accurately, but he would not expose himself at this time. Xie Yi berated, "Since you don't believe me, then I will fulfill your wish. I will activate the killing array and kill you." "You want to activate the killing array to kill me? You're still lacking." Ningyu shrugged his shoulders, and then with a thought, he said, "Elders, come out and help me." Voila! Suddenly, the space beside Ningyu broke apart, and 3 figures slowly appeared in the room. Xie Yi could not help sucking in a breath of cold air when he felt the terrifying aura coming from the 3 figures. 2 7th-grade Earth Sovereigns and 1 8th-grade Earth Sovereign. This formation made his heart tremble. How could there be such experts by Ningyu's side? One must know that he had used a secret technique to scan the area. Almost all the experts of the Giant Shield City had gone to the city tower. Why would there be 2 7th-grade Earth Sovereigns and 1 8th-grade Earth Sovereign by Ningyu's side? "Elders, please restrain him. I have a use for him," said Ningyu. "What are you thanking me for? Your problem is my problem." The 8th-grade Earth Sovereign pretended to be angry. "If it wasn't for you, our Nebula Academy would have been destroyed long ago. Speaking of which, we have to thank you for finding us a place to stay." That's right. These were none other than the elders of Nebula Academy. Back at Nebula Academy, Ningyu had placed all the elders who had not left in the Yuzuan Tower. Originally, Ningyu had wanted to let them out when they arrived at the Giant Shield City. But Master Xingyun felt that the city was in a mess, so he did not let them out. Now that Ningyu was in danger, finding a few high-rank Earth Sovereigns to save him wouldn't have much of an impact. Right, where are Master Xingyun and Quangzhan? The 8th-grade Earth Sovereign's name was Yang Chong. He first locked his aura on Xie Yi, then said to Ningyu, "They should be fine, right?" "Don't worry, they're fine." Ningyu smiled. "The Giant Shield City is in a mess right now. Once we're done here, you can leave the Yuzuan Tower and find a place to rebuild Nebula Academy." "Good, that's all I need to hear." Yang Chong was overjoyed. His figure flashed and instantly appeared beside Xie Yi. Bang! He clenched his right fist and slammed it against Xie Yi's chest. The huge force caused Xie Yi to retreat a few feet. As Xie Yi retreated, a cold light shot out from Yang Chong's sleeves. Under Xie Yi's shocked gaze, it entered his consciousness. Control the consciousness. In an instant, Xie Yi thought of something terrifying. This 8th-grade Earth Sovereign wanted to control his sea of consciousness. The consciousness was the weakest and most important part of a person's body. Once it was controlled, his fate would be in the hands of this 8th-grade Earth Sovereign. Chapter 1465. Chapter 1465. Chapter 1465. Find a way to get out of here. You can't do this to me, or you will suffer retribution. Xie Yi resisted with all his might. This doppelganger was the key to whether or not he could successfully cultivate the infinite free embodiment technique. No matter what, He could not allow himself to be controlled by Ningyu. With Ningyu's personality, after controlling his doppelganger, he would definitely use this to threaten him and force him to reveal the infinite free embodiment technique. If I don't do this to you, I'll suffer retribution. Yang Chong did not care about Xie Yi's cries. He controlled the cold light to enter Xie Yi's mind and took control of it. Ningyu, I'll leave this soul energy to you. Use it to control the life and death of this third great Earth Sovereign. After controlling Evil One, Yang Chong casually threw out a cold light towards Ningyu. Ningyu's mind stirred, and he firmly caught the cold light. The cold light was Yang Chong's soul power, and it was connected to the soul power in Xie Yi's consciousness sea. In other words, if Ningyu wanted Xie Yi dead, Xie Yi would not be able to escape. Seniors, I'll have to trouble you to break the formation around us, Ningyu said as he retracted his soul power. It's nothing. Yang Chong and the two other 7th grade Earth Sovereigns worked together and spent 3 minutes to break the array that Xie Yi had set up. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. After breaking the array, Yang Chong and the rest leaped into the Tower of the Supremacy of Yu. Ningyu had said that now was not the time for them to leave the Tower of Yuzu. Therefore, they did not stay in the outside world and entered the Tower of the Lord of Yu. Actually, compared to the outside world, cultivating in the Tower of Yuzuan was twice the result with half the effort. If not for the fact that they had yet to take revenge, they would have stayed in the Tower of Ascension to cultivate. Xie Wan, I can take you out of Giant Shield City. Ningyu walked towards Xie Yi. After a while, he stopped in front of Xie Yi and said, "But you have to promise me one thing." Humph. Don't expect me to tell you the 1,000 free form technique. Xie Yi snorted. On the surface, Xie Yi was furious. In fact, hope was ignited in his heart again. As long as Ningyu did not kill him, he would have a chance. In addition, if Ningyu wanted to leave Giant Shield City and set his sights on the great art of infinite freedom of embodiment, then he might be able to escape from Ningyu's clutches. You misunderstand. I just want to see what your main body looks like. Ningyu shrugged and said, now that you are in my hands, you have no other choice. Either you take me there, or you die. You. Hearing Ningyu use his own words against him, Xie Yi gritted his teeth in anger. He clenched his fists and said, all right, I'll bring you to see my main body. I'm just afraid that you won't be able to return alive. You don't have to worry about that. You just need to take me there. You don't have to worry about anything else. Ningyu said fearlessly. All right, I'll take you there. Xie Yi said coldly. There's no time to lose. Let's go now. Seems like you're in a hurry. Don't rush. Before we leave Giant Shield City, there's something I need to do. Ningyu patted Xie Yi's shoulder with his right hand and said, stay where you are and don't move. I'm going to set up a few arrays on you. Acting mysterious, Xie Yi's eyes were tightly shut. No one knew what he was thinking. Ningyu, seeing Ningyu's actions, Lu Wei opened her mouth and said, I really need your help. Give me a drop of blood. Ningyu smiled at Lu Wei and said, whoosh, whoosh. Without another word, Lu Wei forced out 2 drops of blood and sent them to Ningyu. TSK, TSK. Ningyu controlled Lu Wei's blood and started setting up arrays around Xie Yi. Lu Xuan was of the purple spirit body. Her essence blood would be very helpful. In his previous life, Ningyu had seen a special method of isolating space. It mainly used the blood of a purple spirit body. Now, Ningyu used Lu Wei's 2 drops of blood to set up a few arrays around Xie Yi. Law of space, if Xie Yi sends any news to the outside world, inform me immediately. After doing all this, Ningyu contacted the law of space and asked it to watch over Xie Yi. After all, the law of space was very sensitive to space. If anything happened, it would be the first to notice. Are you done? Xie Yi stared at Ningyu impatiently. You already control my life and death. What's the point of setting up arrays around me? It's always better to be careful. Ningyu smiled at Xie Yi. Then, he grabbed Lu Wei's arm and walked out of the room. Seeing Ningyu and Lu Wei leave, a cold glint appeared in Xie Yi's eyes. Moving his feet, Evil One followed closely. Xie Yi's plan was simple. He would first use Ningyu to leave Giant Shield City and then think of a way to contact his main body. As long as he left Giant Shield City, he would have a way to contact his main body. If the main body came, Ningyu would definitely die. They left just like that, on the second floor of Cloud Returning Building. The middle-aged man saw that Ningyu and Xie Yi had left unscathed and was stunned. He remembered clearly that Xie Yi seemed to have a grudge against Ningyu. Why did it look like nothing had happened to them? Forget it. This matter involves Palace Master Baihua. It's better if I don't interfere. I'll just keep quiet and get rich. The middle-aged man took out a storage bag and weighed it in his hand. A smile appeared on his face. Let's wait a while more. Let's wait for Baidun to deal with Palace Master Baihua first. Due to the fact that the city lord residence was kept a secret, no one else knew about it other than a few people. In particular, in Giant Shield City, only Ningyu, Lu Swan, and a few others knew about White Shield's death. Even Palace Master 100 Flowers and Fairy Yun, she didn't know much about it. After all, Baidun hadn't died yet. He was just kept in Ningyu's storage ring. Sha. At the same time, on the streets of Giant Shield City, Ningyu, Xie Yi, and the rest dashed towards the other gate of Giant Shield City. Giant Shield City had a total of 4 gates. Among them, the south gate was the weakest and the easiest to break. Perfected Devil and Fairy Yun, she were at the south gate now. Ningyu was going to the north gate. The north gate had been completely sealed. It would be difficult to get through from the outside or inside. Relatively speaking, the north gate had the fewest guards. It was the best way to leave Giant Shield City. Ningyu, are you sure you can take me out from the north gate? Seeing Ningyu heading to the north gate, Xie Yi frowned. For what I can see, the south gate is the easiest to leave. Although there are many people there, it's also the easiest to leave. Too young. Ningyu looked at Xie Yi and said, on the surface, it looks like the north gate is the hardest to leave, but that's not the case. Under normal circumstances, it's indeed hard to leave from the north gate. However, Giant Shield City is covered by an ultimate killing formation, and this place is where the eye of the formation is. Don't joke with me. The eye of the ultimate killing formation is underground in the center of Giant Shield City. How can it be here? Xie Yi naturally didn't believe Ningyu. Chapter 1466. Chapter 1466. Chapter 1466 Captive. You'll know when we get there. Ningyu did not want to waste any more time with Xie Yi. In a flash, he dashed towards the north gate. I like to see how you're going to leave from the north gate. Xie Yi's face was cold as he followed closely behind Ningyu. Swish, swish, swish. About 5 minutes later, Ningyu, Xie Yi, and Lu Wei appeared near the north gate. Why not? Seeing Ningyu stop in an alley, Xie Yi asked curiously, are you stupid? Ningyu rolled his eyes and said, the entire Giant Shield City is shrouded by the ultimate killing formation. Even if there is no one at the north gate, it will be very difficult for you to leave. Then what's the point of coming here? Isn't it a waste of effort? Xie Yi's face was ugly. Whether or not he could leave Giant Shield City depended on whether or not he could successfully cultivate the first stage of the boundless embodiment technique. No one will think you're mute if you don't speak. Ningyu said coldly, if you want to leave Giant Shield City, don't say a word from now on. Otherwise, don't even think about leaving Giant Shield City. Obviously, Ningyu's words were very destructive. Although Xie Yi was furious, he didn't dare to say anything. If he completely angered Ningyu, he would definitely not be able to bear the consequences. After all, his life was still temporarily in the hands of Ningyu. Ningyu closed his eyes slightly and unleashed his powerful perception as if he was searching for something. Open. After a while, Ningyu suddenly opened his eyes. He stretched out his hands and tore a hole in the void. Let's leave quickly before something unexpected happens. When the gap appeared, Ningyu grabbed Lu Wei and jumped in. Let's fight. At this point, Evil One could only choose to believe in Ningyu. Because he discovered that after Ningyu left, there was a powerful perception flying over from the south gate. Without a doubt, it was Fairy Yin Shi and the others. The rupture in the void here naturally attracted their attention. Whoosh! With a leap, Xie Yi squeezed in at the last moment before the gap closed. Buzz! After Xie left, the gap closed up and everything returned to normal. You guys, go to the north gate and take a look. It seems like the people from Hundred Flower City want to attack from there. On the southern gate, Fairy Yun, she said to the two seventh-grade Earth sovereigns beside her. Furthermore, tell the northern gate to immediately report the slightest disturbance. Yes, the two seventh-grade Earth sovereigns nodded their heads before they tore through space and disappeared. Aren't you a little too nervous? The Peerless Slaughter Array has already been activated. Unless the Hundred Flower City mobilizes a heavenly sovereign, it's impossible for them to attack the giant shield city within 3 days. Chiemo said as he looked at Fairy Yunxi. It was impossible in the past, but who knows if White Shield left any trump cards behind. It's better to be careful. Fairy Yunxi's expression was emotionless as she spoke. White Shield was the city lord of the giant shield city. If he really left any trump cards behind, the consequences would be unimaginable. Now that you've put it that way, it might be possible. No, I have to interrogate those people. I must get something out of them. Chimo's expression was a little grave. His figure flashed as he flew towards the city lord's mansion. The cultivators that colluded with White Shield had already been captured and interrogated by him. However, Chimo did not obtain any useful information from them. Now that there might be a change, Chimo naturally had to interrogate them again. This time, Chimo decided that no matter what method he had to use, he had to get something out of them. Whoosh! At the same time, 3 cultivators suddenly appeared in a dense forest outside the giant shield city. Without a doubt, these 3 cultivators were Ningyu, Xie, and the rest. They really left. Looking around, Xie felt that it was a little unbelievable. He was extremely excited to be able to leave the giant shield city safely. That was an ultimate killing formation. How did Ningyu break it? Since Ningyu could break the ultimate killing formation, didn't that mean that as long as he captured Ningyu, he could break the killing formation from the outside? Ha ha ha. The more he thought about it, the more excited Xie got. In the end, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. Hearing Xie laugh, Ningyu looked at him as though he was looking an idiot. Have you lost your mind? I'm sorry, I'm just a little excited to be able to leave the giant shield city successfully. Xie retracted his smile and said, Don't rush. What will make you excited is yet to come. Bring me to see the ferocious and bloodthirsty wolves. Ningyu looked at Xie with a faint smile. If anything happens to the ferocious and bloodthirsty wolves, you should know the consequences. See the ferocious and bloodthirsty wolves? Aren't we going to see my main body? Why do we have to see the ferocious and bloodthirsty wolves? Xie was a little confused. He thought he was going to see the main body. Who would have thought that Ningyu's idea was a little strange? He wanted to see the 2 wolves? Should I contact the main body? Xie's eyes flickered. He wanted to contact the main body, but was afraid that Ningyu would find out. After all, he only had one chance. If he missed this opportunity, he wouldn't get another one. What's wrong? You can't bring me to see the ferocious and bloodthirsty wolves? Seeing Xie's face, Ningyu was confused. There's a way, but I'm afraid you won't dare to go. Xie frowned. The 2 wolves are 7th-grade Earth sovereigns, and the cultivators guarding them are 8th-grade Earth sovereigns. With your current state, halfway through his sentence, Xie seemed to have thought of something and stopped talking. Ningyu is indeed only a 9th-grade human sovereign and could only fight against a 3rd-grade Earth sovereign. However, Ningyu had an 8th-grade Earth sovereign with him. The reason why he was controlled by Ningyu and the array he set up was all because of the 8th-grade Earth sovereign. Where are the ferocious and bloodthirsty wolves? Ningyu didn't want to listen to Xie's nonsense. He asked directly, Can we sneak to where the ferocious and bloodthirsty wolves are? I'm afraid it's a little difficult. Xie shook his head. I heard that there are 2 8th-grade Earth sovereigns in Hundred Flower City who have their eyes on the 2 wolves and want to make them their mounts. Crack, crack. Hearing this, Ningyu clenched his fists tightly. The ferocious and scarred wolves had helped him a lot. He had to get them out no matter what. You must have a way. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu calmed down. Needless to say, Xie definitely had a way to get close to the ferocious and bloodthirsty wolves. The reason why Xie didn't want to tell him was because he wanted to get more benefits. I do have a way. Now that things had come to this, Xie didn't want to hide anymore. He said, as long as you let go of me, I will. Pucci. Before he could finish his sentence, he felt his body lighten and he fell backwards. Crack. The huge tree, which was as thick as a person's waist, was directly smashed in half. Crack. Chapter 1467. Earth Dragon Grass. Remember your identity, captive, prisoner. You have no right to bargain with me. After kicking Xie away, Ningyu said indifferently, you only have two choices now. Either you bring me to see the ferocious blood-crazed wolf, or you die. You. Xie clenched his teeth. He didn't think that Ningyu would be so ruthless, not giving him any chance at all. Actually, he was just testing Ningyu. He didn't think that Ningyu would release his control over him. He just wanted to test Ningyu's thoughts. Who would have thought that Ningyu wouldn't even give him a chance to retort? He extended his right leg and kicked him far away. I'll bear with you for a while longer. Because they were far from the main body, Xie didn't do anything. He could only swallow his anger. Taking a deep breath, Xie said, I do have a way to bring you to the wolves, but Xie paused and continued. You have to promise me not to mess around. If we attract the attention of the 100 Flower City's army, we will be in deep trouble. Where are they? Are they in the army? Ningyu was confused. Why did it sound like they were going deep into the enemy's territory? That's right, they are in the army. Evil nodded and said, this time, the army of 100 Flower City is divided into east, south, west, and north. The two wolves are in the east. It's very dangerous to go deep into the east. I suggest that some people don't go. Xie glanced at Lu Wei, his meaning clear. To Xie, Lu Wei was only an 8th grade human supreme. She would only be a burden to the East Army. She's more useful than you. Ningyu didn't want to argue with Xie about Lu Wei. He said, let's not waste time. Let's go. Follow this forest to the east. At the end, you'll see the East Army. Xie pointed to the east. Go. Ningyu was not an indecisive person. He took Lu Wei with him and walked toward the east side of the forest. Due to the arrival of the 4 armies of the 100 Flower City, the demonic beasts in the forest had all scattered, leaving only a few behind. Along the way, Ningyu and the others were unimpeded. Furthermore, Ningyu had also found out from Xie that the leader of the Eastern Army was a quasi-heavenly sovereign. Since there was a half-step heaven supreme, Ningyu had Lu Wei enter his spatial ring, and he and Evil 2 continued on their way. Ningyu and Xie were not slow. Soon, they reached the end of the forest. There are actually so many people in the Eastern Army. At the end of the forest, Ningyu looked at the large army in the distance with a serious look in his eyes. Ningyu knew that there were many people attacking Giant Shield City this time, but he hadn't expected there to be so many. Although the 100 Flower City was bigger than the Giant Shield City, it shouldn't be by much, right? There shouldn't be so many people here. Looks like you don't know much about that mysterious expert of the 100 Flowers Palace. Seeing Ningyu's puzzled expression, Xie explained, that expert is very powerful. Most of the cultivators in the 100 Flowers Palace listen to his orders. Furthermore, he has even used the resources of the 100 Flowers Palace to recruit experts to lead the charge. I see. Ningyu nodded his head. The half-step heavenly sovereign from the Eastern Army is called Meng Quan. Rumor has it that he's from the Alchemy Union and is a pinnacle 9th grade alchemist. I'm not sure if it's true, Xie said. The situation is a little not good. Someone's coming. Just when Ningyu was about to speak, his face turned grave. He immediately tore space apart and entered. Xie also waved his hands and disappeared in an instant. Rustle, rustle. Not long after, 2 first-grade Earth Sovereigns appeared. How troublesome. They actually want us to borrow some Earth Dragon Grass from the Western Army. Isn't that nonsense? One of the 2 first-grade Earth Sovereigns had a tan face and a tall figure, while the other had a short figure with long hair. Amongst them, the tan man grumbled, how can we borrow something as precious as the Earth Dragon Grass? Stop grumbling. Master Mu Ping and Master Mu Hua need the earth dragon grass to refine into elixirs to subdue the two bloodthirsty wild wolves. The long-haired man waved his hand. Although it's a tough task, if we can complete it, who knows, Master Mu Ping might reward us with a few elixirs. Wouldn't that be great? That's right. Only by going through hardships can one rise above others. The black-faced man nodded his head and said, I've heard that the higher-ups will reward us with 1,000 Emperor-grade origin crystals for every Earth Sovereign's head we behead in the giant shield city. Hee, if we can obtain those elixirs to increase our strength, we'll definitely be able to kill many Earth Sovereign experts of the giant shield city. Those trash of a giant shield city are too stubborn. They don't even know the simple logic of adapting to circumstances. They deserve to be killed. The long-haired man's lips rose into an arc as he eerily said, Really? Suddenly, a faint voice resounded in the ears of the long-haired man and the tan man. Who is it? The sudden change caused the faces of the tan man and the long-haired man to drastically change as they cautiously looked around and said in a solemn voice, Don't try to fool us. Get out here. As you wish. In response to the black-faced man and the others, there was only a faint reply. Buzz. Thereafter, the space before the tan man suddenly split apart and a figure slowly appeared in his sight. Ninth grade mortal sovereign? Ha ha ha. Seeing the cultivator that suddenly appeared, the tan man was briefly stunned before he burst into laughter. And here I was wondering what expert it was. So it's a 9th grade mortal sovereign. Ha ha. I'm dying of laughter. I'll see where you get your confidence from to contend with me. As he spoke, the tan man swiftly charged out and threw his iron-like fist towards Ningyu's face. Crack! Ningyu unhurriedly threw out a punch, which coincidentally collided with the tan man's fist. A crisp sound rang out. A figure rapidly retreated and heavily crashed into the ground. How is that possible? The long-haired man's face was filled with shock and disbelief. In his view, the tan man was a 1st-grade Earth Sovereign, while his opponent was only a 9th-grade mortal sovereign. The gap between the two was huge, so it didn't make sense for the tan man to lose. However, the truth was placed before him, so the long-haired man had no choice but to believe it. Brat, you're courting death. Clenching his fists, the long-haired man instantly charged out and roared. Let's attack together. I don't believe we can't kill him. Did you ask for my opinion before you attack? As the long-haired man advanced, space split apart and Xie appeared. Swish. Chapter 1468. Who are you? The long-haired man's face was ugly as he berated. The long-haired man's face was very ugly as he berated. Ningyu was only a 9th-grade human sovereign. No matter how strong he was, he couldn't be that strong. Ningyu was only a 9th-grade Earth Sovereign. Even if they joined forces, they might not be a match for a 3rd-grade Earth Sovereign. Even if they joined forces, they might not be a match for a 3rd-grade Earth Sovereign. What should we do? Xie did not answer the long-haired man, but turned to look at Ningyu, seeking Ningyu's opinion. Xie's action shocked the long-haired man and the black-faced man. Could it be that a 9th-grade Earth Sovereign had a special identity? Was he the young master of some family? Thinking about it, the long-haired man and the black-faced man started to think. They were already trapped by a 3rd-grade Earth Sovereign, and the only thing they could do now was to take down Ningyu. Otherwise, they would definitely die. If they wanted to take down Ningyu, they had to find an opportunity and strike when Xie was unprepared. After exchanging glances, the black-faced, burly man and the long-haired man nodded slightly. They had a tacit understanding of each other. You should know better than me what to do. Ningyu shrugged and said, I need to know everything about the army in the east. No problem. Hearing Ningyu's words, Xie nodded his head and charged out, attacking the long-haired man and the black-faced man. I'm going to kill him. Xie's sudden attack caused the long-haired man and the rest's faces to change. Their original intention was to wait for Ningyu to reveal an opening so that they could take down Ningyu. Now, Xie was the first to attack them. I'll hold him back. You take down that 9th-grade Earth Sovereign. The black-faced man took a step forward and blocked in front of Xie. I can only hold him off for 3 minutes. You must take down that ninth-grade Earth Sovereign within 3 minutes. No problem. The long-haired man's face turned grave. He did not dare to waste the 3 minutes that the black-faced man had bought for him. In an instant, he unleashed his trump card, wanting to deal a fatal blow to Ningyu. It was still the same sentence. Dreams were plentiful, but reality was harsh. Before the long-haired man could reach Ningyu, the outcome of the battle on the other side of the battlefield had already been decided. Kacha! Xie unleashed his strongest attack, punching through the man's heart, killing him on the spot. Even though Xie was under Ningyu's control, his abilities were still out of this world. The black-faced man was not as heaven-defying as Ningyu. His cultivation level was higher than Ningyu, but his strength was much weaker than Xie. It was reasonable for him to be killed by Xie's punch. Who the hell are you people? The long-haired man finally panicked when he saw that the black-faced man was killed with a single punch. His strength was weaker than the black-faced burly man. Even the black-faced burly man had been killed with a single punch, let alone him. Let me ask you a few questions. If you answer honestly, I can consider sparing your life. Ningyu went straight to the point. In the Eastern Army, there are 2 frenzied, bloodthirsty wolves. Do you know where they're being held? There are indeed 2 frenzied, bloodthirsty wolves, but I advise you not to target them. They are the mounts of Master Mu Ping and Master Mu Hua. The long-haired man did not hide anything. He even warned Ningyu not to act recklessly. Master Mu Ping and Master Mu Hua were both 8th-grade Earth Supremes and 9th-grade Initial Phase Alchemists. They were the leaders of the Eastern Army, Meng Quan's trusted aides. Rumor had it that they came from the same place, the Alchemy Union. Don't worry about it. Ningyu shrugged and continued. Second question. Do you have a way to bring us to where the 2 frenzied, bloodthirsty wolves are? The long-haired man hesitated when he heard Ningyu's words. The place where the 2 frenzied, bloodthirsty wolves are being held is heavily guarded. I can only bring you to the outermost area. As for getting close to them, I can't do it. Can't do it? Then what's the point of keeping you alive? As soon as he finished speaking, Ningyu flicked his wrist, and the red demon sword instantly appeared in his hand. Raising the red demon sword, Ningyu was about to slash at the long-haired man. Wait, let me think of a way. Think of a way. In the face of death, the long-haired man racked his brains to think of a way to survive. After all, no one wanted to die. I'll give you 3 minutes. Xie, keep an eye on him. Don't let him contact the people in the Eastern Army. Ningyu did not force the long-haired man. After he said that, he fell silent and closed his eyes. On the surface, Ningyu did not do anything. But in reality, that was not the case. His senses had already entered the storage ring and started searching for the herbs inside. What the long-haired man was looking for was the earth dragon grass. And Ningyu remembered very clearly that there was the earth dragon grass in the storage bag. If he could find the earth dragon grass, he would have the capital to sneak into the Eastern Army. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to sneak into the Eastern Army. Found it. Not long after, Ningyu's face lit up. In the storage ring, he did find the earth dragon grass. The earth dragon grass was a very precious herb. Generally speaking, elixirs refined with the earth dragon grass would not have bad effects. If I'm not wrong, that Master Mu Ping and Master Mu Hua want the earth dragon grass to refine the earth dragon pill. Ningyu frowned slightly. The earth dragon pill was an early-stage grade 9 elixir. The refining process was very complicated. However, the effect of the earth dragon pill was very good. If the bloodthirsty mad wolf and the rest swallowed it, they might really be controlled by Master Mu Ping. Earth dragon grass, earth dragon pill, got it. Ningyu's eyes turned, and he suddenly thought of a countermeasure. According to the reincarnation Pill Dao's records, there was a type of herb that was extremely similar to the earth dragon grass. And the earth dragon pill refined with that type of herb basically did not have much effect. That type of herb was called earth tiger grass. Even though the earth dragon grass and earth tiger grass only differed by one word, the effects were indeed very different. Where can I find the earth tiger grass? Ningyu fell into a difficult situation again. He had the earth dragon grass, but he did not have the earth tiger grass. Don't tell me I have to return to Giant Shield City. Ningyu was very conflicted. If he returned to Giant Shield City, he could definitely find the Earth Tiger Grass from Master Xingyan, but that would also completely expose him. In staying here, it would be very difficult to find the Earth Tiger Grass. Right. Suddenly, Ningyu slapped his head, and his mind sank into the Tower of Yuzuan. Swish! After passing through the first 9 levels of the Tower of Yuzuan, Ningyu directly arrived at the 10th level. Senior, I have a request. Ningyu appeared extremely respectful and said. The illusory figure on the 10th level of the Tower of Yuzuan was extremely powerful, and he was the actual controller of the Tower of Yuzuan. In Ningyu's opinion, he definitely had the Earth Tiger Grass on him. What is it? After a while, a vigorous voice rang in Ningyu's ears. Chapter 1469. Chapter 1469. Chapter 1469 to pretend. I have the Earth Tiger Grass, and I can give it to you as well. But you have to be careful. There are heavenly sovereigns in the army not far from you. Xiao. Following that, the space beside Ningyu broke apart, and a storage bag appeared in front of him. Thank you, Senior. After receiving the storage bag, Ningyu released his perception and probed it for a bit, then hurriedly said, You've helped me a lot this time. Go. The 3 heavenly sovereigns will listen to your orders soon. A powerful voice sounded, ordering the guest to leave. Hearing this, Ningyu's face revealed a look of excitement. His situation was getting more and more dangerous. If he had 3 heavenly sovereigns listening to him, he could basically walk unhindered in the pellet formation continent. After all, that slaughterer demon was a mid-heavenly supreme. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu left the Tower of Yuzu in the blink of an eye. Although it was exciting to have 3 Sky Supremes at his beck and call, Ningyu knew his priorities. His goal in leaving Giant Shield City this time was to rescue the bloodthirsty Berserk Wolf and the Scar Berserk Wolf. Now that he had obtained the Ground Tiger Grass, he could pass it off as genuine and deceive the long-haired man. In fact, Ningyu already had a plan in mind. It was just that he could not tell the long-haired man about the most crucial part of the plan. Not only could he not tell the long-haired man, he could not even tell Xie. After all, Xie was very special. This was just his doppelganger. Before he found his main body, Ningyu did not dare to let his guard down. What's your decision? After leaving the Tower of Yuzuan, Ningyu came to the long-haired man and asked, Is there any way for us to see those 2 wolves? There is a way, but it's a little difficult. The long-haired man wiped the sweat off his forehead, gritted his teeth, and said, You pretend to be the black-faced, burly man. The 2 of us will go to the Western Army to borrow the Earth Dragon Grass. Then, you and I will return to the Eastern Army and hand the Earth Dragon Grass to Grandmaster Mu Ping and Grandmaster Mu Hua. After thinking about it, I think this is the only way. Ningyu did not answer the long-haired man immediately. Instead, he pretended to be deep in thought. In fact, the long-haired man had the same idea as Ningyu. However, Ningyu was pressuring the long-haired man to make him say more. As expected, Ningyu's silence gave the long-haired man enough pressure. Bean-sized beads of sweat dripped down the forehead of the long-haired man. This is the best way. This is the only thing we can do. The long-haired man said again. The place where the 2 bloodthirsty berserk wolves are imprisoned is heavily guarded. We definitely can't barge in, so we can only use this method. All right, we'll do as you say. Ningyu nodded and said, Tell me everything about the black-faced man's characteristics, hobbies, and daily details. No problem. The long-haired man heaved a sigh of relief. That was close. As long as Ningyu didn't kill him, he would have a chance to live. Once we enter the Eastern Army, I won't have to worry about not being able to kill you too. The long-haired man told Ningyu about the black-faced man's characteristics and thought to himself, When that time comes, I will turn you 2 into ashes. After about 10 minutes, the long-haired man finally told Ningyu everything about the black-faced man. The long-haired man knew the black-faced man so well that Ningyu couldn't help but look at him in a different light. However, the way Ningyu looked at the long-haired man was a little special. Xie, when we enter the Eastern Army, I definitely won't be able to bring you along. I want to ask, do you have a way to hide your chi and stay by my side? Ningyu didn't care about the long-haired man's private life. He turned to Xie Yi and said, the Eastern Army is extremely dangerous. You better have a way to hide your chi. If not, I will have to use my own method to keep you. Of course I have a way. Xie Yi flicked his wrist, and a blue jade bracelet appeared in his hand. Shaking the bracelet, Xie Yi said, it's called the blue jade bracelet. I will enter its body. You just have to bring it with you. No problem. Ningyu said. Whoosh. In the next second, Xie Yi's body flashed and entered the blue jade bracelet. Pack! Ningyu reacted quickly and grabbed the bracelet before it fell to the ground. Hee. This blue jade bracelet is very special. It can hide my chi and help me find an opportunity dash inside the bracelet, Xie Yi snickered. However, just as Xie Yi was about to laugh, he stopped abruptly. He realized that his senses were trapped inside the bracelet and couldn't leave. Done. Outside, Ningyu threw the bracelet into the tower of Yuzuan and clapped his hands. Long-haired man, we can go now. The tower of Yuzuan had the ability to isolate chi. Xie Yi naturally couldn't use his senses inside. Let's go. The long-haired man organized his thoughts and walked towards the Western Army. Wait, you seem to be going in the wrong direction. Ningyu stopped him. We need to go to the Eastern Army to see the bloodthirsty wolf. But we don't have the earth dragon grass. The long-haired man was confused. Without it, even if they returned to the Eastern Army, they wouldn't be able to see the bloodthirsty wolf. After all, Ningyu was temperamental, and the long-haired man didn't want anything to happen. Once he found the earth dragon grass, he would give it to Master Mu Ping and Master Mu Hua. Then, he would slowly look for an opportunity. I have the earth dragon grass. Ningyu flicked his wrist and took out the earth tiger grass from his storage bag. Because the earth tiger grass and earth dragon grass were very similar, the long-haired man was stunned. The reason why the long-haired man was like this was not because Ningyu had earth dragon grass, but because Ningyu had too much earth dragon grass. Master Mu Ping and Master Mu Hua only needed one earth dragon grass, and Ningyu had so many. What a surprise. Let's go to the Eastern Army. Ningyu put away the ground tiger grass and walked toward the army on the East Road. The long-haired man hesitated and said, but you don't look like the dark-faced man. Ningyu was pretending to be the dark-faced man. Even if he had a lot of earth dragon grass, he had to look like the dark-faced man to not arouse suspicion. That's easy. Ningyu shrugged, and then his entire body began to expand. Crack, crack. His bones stretched and his skin tanned. In just a few seconds, Ningyu looked like a completely different person. The current him was exactly the same as the dark-faced man from before. Be it his body shape or temperament, there wasn't much difference. Even the long-haired man, who had been in contact with the dark-faced man for a long time, couldn't find any flaws. Let's go. Since Ningyu had become the dark-faced man, the long-haired man didn't hesitate anymore. His figure flashed, and he led the way for Ningyu. With Ningyu by his side, the long-haired man didn't dare to act rashly. He was very obedient along the way and didn't do anything out of line. Chapter 1470. 4 powerhouses among the 4 armies attacking Giant Shield City. The Eastern Army was the most special. That's because the leader of the Eastern Army, Meng Quan, came from the Pellet Refinement Union. Meng Quan himself was a pinnacle 9th grade alchemist and a quasi-heavenly supreme. Thus, the leaders of the other 3 armies were extremely respectful to him. After all, no one knew when they would be injured, so it would be best if they could find a pinnacle 9th grade alchemist to get some life-saving elixirs. Then again, no one would ask Meng Quan for elixirs after they were injured. Seeing that the battle was about to erupt, the leaders of the other 3 armies, 3 quasi-heavenly sovereigns, gathered in the Eastern Army. The reception hall of the Eastern Army was located at the center. Originally, this place was a barren wasteland, but Meng Quan used a great trick to move a palace here, and this palace also became the most important place for the Eastern Army. In the hall, a man in his 30s or 40s sat at the head with 3 old men on his 2 sides. Cough, cough. Not long after, the man coughed and asked, "May I know why you're here?" Without a doubt, this man was the leader of the Eastern Army, Meng Quan, who was a quasi-heavenly supreme. The three old men came from the Western Army, Southern Army, and Northern Army. Amongst them, the Northern Army's quasi-heavenly supreme was called Big Dipper Venerable, who had a powerful aura. The leader of the Southern Army was called Southern Dipper Venerable, who was a quasi-heavenly supreme. The leader of the Western Army was called Shido Venerable, who was also a quasi-heavenly supreme. Seeing that the battle is about to erupt, we're here to ask for some life-saving elixirs from Brother Meng. The first to speak was Big Dipper Venerable. He smiled. Brother Meng's identity is extraordinary, and the higher-ups have already ordered that the Eastern Army will be the last to attack. That's right. With our three armies taking the vanguard, I believe that by the time Brother Meng makes a move, the giant shield city will have already fallen. So Brother Meng won't be affected. Shido Venerable added. Brother Meng is a pinnacle 9th grade alchemist, so you can refine a few elixirs for us to broaden our horizons. Southern Dipper Venerable said. On the surface, Nando, the Venerable, and the others were complimenting Meng Quan, but that was not the case. On the surface, they were complimenting Meng Quan, but in reality, they were testing the pressure on Meng Quan and expressing their dissatisfaction. The higher-ups had ordered Meng Quan to be the last to attack, and had even sent the elite troops to Meng Quan. It was obvious that they wanted to use them as cannon fodder. On the surface, they came over this time to ask Meng Quan for the medicinal pills, but in reality, they were robbing him by force. If Meng Quan did not give them the medicinal pills, the three of them would have to have a good talk with Meng Quan. Dong, dong, dong. How could Meng Quan not know what Nando the Venerable and the others were thinking? His right hand lightly tapped on the seat beneath him, and he did not speak. For a moment, the scene became somewhat awkward. After about 4 or 5 minutes, Meng Quan said, "You must be joking. I'm just a 9th-level alchemist. How can I have any life-saving pills?" If that's the case, Brother Meng doesn't want to give us the pills. In an instant, the air in the entire area seemed to freeze. Southern Dipper, the Venerable, and the others unleashed their auras and pressed down on Meng Quan. The scene of 3 half-step heavenly sovereigns working together to test the pressure on Meng Quan was terrifying. Sizzle. Meng Quan did not feel any pressure, even though he was 1 against 3. Meng Quan might only be a half-step heavenly sovereign, but his soul energy had reached the pinnacle of 9th level. Meng Quan was still able to deal with the 3 of them with ease. Meng Quan, you're trying to rebel. Seeing that he couldn't suppress Meng Quan, Southern Dipper, the Venerable, reprimanded. We're here to exchange tactics, but you're treating us like this. What are your intentions? Meng Quan, if you continue to do this, I'll... Shido the Venerable said coldly. Pa! Before Shido the Venerable could finish his sentence, Meng Quan's hands tore through the void and appeared beside him in the blink of an eye. He raised his right hand and slapped Shido the Venerable's cheek. A crisp sound resounded. Shido the Venerable was stunned on the spot with his mouth wide open. Meng Quan was a half-step heavenly sovereign, and so was he. Why didn't he react when Meng Quan slapped him? Not only was Shido the Venerable shocked, but even the Southern Dipper and Northern Dipper Venerables were dumbfounded. They came here to denounce Meng Quan, but in the end, they failed and were taught a lesson by Meng Quan. How intolerable! Meng Quan, how dare you? Are you trying to rebel? Southern Dipper, the Venerable, coldly barked. I'm sorry, I'm not targeting anyone. I just wanted to say, as he spoke, Meng Quan briefly paused before he continued. Everyone else here is trash. You're courting death. Arrogant. Meng Quan's public ridicule made the Southern Dipper Venerable and the rest furious. Although Meng Quan was powerful, no one knew who would win if they fought. Furthermore, this was the base of the Eastern Route Army, so the Eastern Route Army would definitely be affected if they fought here. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Since you guys want the life-saving elixir, it's not impossible. Meng Quan smiled and said, Mu Ping, Mu Hua, the 2 of you come here. Buzz, buzz. Along with Meng Quan's words, the space in the hall suddenly tore apart and 2 silhouettes appeared. Without a doubt, the 2 of them were Mu Ping and Mu Hua. Give the three of you some of the elixirs that I've given you guys previously. Meng Quan waved his hand. Don't be stingy. After all, the Southern Dipper Venerable and the rest are leading the charge. The longer they can last, the less danger we'll face. No problem. Mu Hua and Mu Ping were smart. They took out a few interspatial pouches and tossed them to the Southern Dipper Venerable and the rest. Crack! Looking into the interspatial pouches, the Southern Dipper Venerable and the rest gritted their teeth. Trash elixirs. The best elixirs in the interspatial pouches were only at the 8th grade, but there were also many 4th and 5th grade elixirs. They were all quasi-heavenly sovereigns, so these elixirs were useless to them. Meng Quan, are you determined to go against us? The Southern Dipper Venerable solemnly said. Today you have to report. Suddenly, a voice resounded from outside the hall. Come in, Meng Quan faintly said. Not long after, a 5th grade Earth Sovereign entered the hall and respectfully said, Leader, someone wants to see Mu Hua and Master Mu Ping. MHM, who wants to see them? Meng Quan knitted his brows. It's the black-faced man and the long-haired man. The 5th grade Earth Sovereign respectfully said, they said that they borrowed a large amount of Earth Dragon Grass from the Western Route Army and want to hand it over to Mu Hua and Master Mu Ping. Earth Dragon Grass? Chapter 1471. Chapter 1471. Acting at the same time in the Eastern Army, the long-haired man and Ning Yu were stopped in a corner, and there were people guarding them. There were many people in the Eastern Army, and the long-haired man's group rarely came in contact with the outside world since they usually followed Mu Hua and Mu Ping. Before they left, Mu Hua gave the long-haired man a token. However, the token was lost in the process of fighting with Ning Yu, so they could only wait here to be notified. Fortunately, someone recognized the Earth Dragon Grass. Otherwise, they might think that Ning Yu and the rest were liars. The security here is indeed tight. Ning Yu closed his eyes tightly and released his perception slightly, wanting to explore the surroundings. However, Ning Yu's perception had only taken a few steps when he hurriedly retracted it. That's because Ning Yu realized that the Eastern Army was simply a tiger's den. Not to mention mortal sovereigns, even Earth sovereigns and advanced Earth sovereigns wouldn't be able to take a single step here. Could it be that the elites of the 100 Flowers Palace are gathered here? Ning Yu muttered. The two of you come with me. At this moment, a 5th grade Earth sovereign walked over and said, Go to the hall. The leader wants to see you. The leader wants to see us? Ning Yu was shocked in his heart. The leader of the Eastern Army was a quasi-heavenly sovereign, so why would he want to see him? Ning Yu's thoughts became active. Could it be that he had been exposed? The more he thought about it, the more Ning Yu felt that it was possible. Otherwise, the long-haired man wouldn't have lost his token. Don't talk nonsense. Just leave when I tell you to. The 5th grade Earth Sovereign coldly said, Don't talk too much when you see the leader. Just answer whatever the leader asks. Right, don't say that you borrowed the Earth Dragon Grass from the Western Army. Otherwise, the leader will be unhappy. This 5th grade Earth Supreme Expert was quite nice and reminded them. After all, the Shido Venerable was in the hall. So if Ning Yu said that the Earth Dragon Grass was borrowed from the Western Army, it would definitely embarrass Meng Quan. Thank you. Ning Yu thanked him and did not say anything else. Since he was already here, he might as well take things as they came. It was impossible for him to leave now. He could only go to the main hall to take a look and wait for an opportunity. Whoosh! Not long after, Ning Yu and the others stopped in front of a large hall. You guys can go in. Remember, be smart. Some things can be said, and some things are better left unsaid. The 5th grade Earth Sovereign pointed at the door of the palace and said, It's best to give the Earth Dragon Grass to leader immediately. Creak. Taking a deep breath, Ning Yu pushed open the door of the palace. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Just as Ning Yu pushed open the door, 5 pairs of eyes flew towards him. Ning Yu could clearly sense that not only were there 5 gazes flying over, but there were also 5 powerful senses probing him and the long-haired man. Xiao. These senses probed for a full minute before withdrawing. I heard that you guys have borrowed the Earth Dragon Grass from the Western Road Army. The first to speak was the Shido Venerable. His tone was calm, without any emotions. Although his tone was calm, the Shido Venerable had unleashed his aura and violently pressured towards Ningyu and the long-haired man. Under the powerful pressure of the Shido Venerable, the long-haired man immediately knelt down. Crack! It was so much so that even his knees started to crack. Senior, although you're stronger than me, you can't speak without thinking. We did find the Earth Dragon grass, but we did not borrow it from the Western Road Army. Forcefully enduring the swelling pain coming from his knee, Ningyu said in a deep voice, "There's a secret cave in the forest not far from the Eastern Army. We went through untold hardships to find a lot of Earth Dragon grass in that cave. Why did you say that our Earth Dragon grass was borrowed from there?" "Umph, brat, you dare to speak to me in this manner." The Shido Venerable coldly snorted as he unleashed his aura once again and violently pressured Ningyu. Enough! Right at this moment, Meng Quan waved his hand, and a gentle and strong wind lifted Ningyu and the long-haired man up. Meng Quan, what's the meaning of this? The Shido Venerable's face was unsightly. He wanted to teach the long-haired man and the dark-skinned man a lesson. But who could have expected that Meng Quan would interfere? This matter had made him furious. Nothing much. I just wanted to tell you that this is the Eastern Road Army, and the dark-skinned man and the long-haired man before you are from the Eastern Road Army. Meng Quan faintly said. Not bad. Hearing Meng Quan's words, Ningyu let out a long breath. Fortunately, his disguise technique was superb. Otherwise, he would be in deep trouble if he was discovered by Meng Quan and the rest. Since Meng Quan and the rest did not discover that he was a fake dark-skinned man, then he would have a chance. Sweeping his gaze around, Ningyu could determine that the other three quasi-heavenly sovereigns should be the leaders of the other three armies. Judging from the situation, Meng Quan must have some conflict with them. Since that's the case, then he would have more space to move around, and his chances would also be greater. Meng Quan, everyone knows that only our Western Road Army has the Earth Dragon grass. You found 2 first-grade Earth sovereigns, and you claim that you found a large amount of Earth Dragon grass? Isn't that nonsense? The Shido Venerable solemnly said. Don't be anxious. Let them take out the Earth Dragon grass first, and see how much there is. The Nando Venerable was rather rational. Right, take out the Earth Dragon grass. I want to see how much you've borrowed from us. The corner of the Shido Venerable's lips rose as he eerily said, I want a 9th-grade Earth Sovereign for 1 Earth Dragon grass. Ningyu did not follow the Shido Venerable's words. Instead, he shifted his gaze towards Meng Quan to seek his opinion. When Meng Quan gently nodded his head, Ningyu took out the Earth Dragon grass from his interspatial pouch. 1 stalk, 2 stalks, 3 stalks. Every time Ningyu took out an Earth Dragon grass, no, an Earth Tiger grass that was similar to the Earth Dragon grass, the eyes of the Shido Venerable and the rest would light up. In the beginning, Meng Quan did not have much of a reaction. After all, he was a 9th-grade pinnacle alchemist, and he had seen many Earth Dragon grasses in his alchemy. However, when Ningyu took out the 20th stalk of Earth Dragon grass, Meng Quan was finally moved. So many Earth Dragon grasses were worth a lot of money. When Ningyu took out the 50th stalk of Earth Dragon grass, Meng Quan's eyes widened and he was a little dumbfounded. Meng Quan was confused. He had checked the nearby forest, and logically speaking, there shouldn't be so many Earth Dragon grasses. Where did these 2 first-grade Earth Sovereigns find so many Earth Dragon grasses? Could it be that they really borrowed them from the Western Road Army? The more Meng Quan thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. Chapter 1472. Chapter 1472. Chapter 1472, Earth-Changing Pilning. You did not care about the astonished expressions of Meng Quan and the others. He continued to take out the Earth Dragon grass from his storage bag. This time, Ningyu's goal was to rescue the ferocious, bloodthirsty Mad Wolf and the scarred, bloodthirsty Mad Wolf. If he could attract Meng Quan's attention, that would be the best thing. A total of 80 Earth Dragon grasses. After a few minutes, Ningyu took out all the Earth Dragon grass from his storage bag. Pointing at the 80 stalks of Earth Dragon grass on the ground, Ningyu said, Leader, Please inspect them. Whoosh! Meng's shoe's figure flickered, and in the blink of an eye, he appeared beside the earth dragon grass. Casually picking up an earth dragon grass, Meng Quan exerted a little force in his palm, and the earth dragon grass in his hand turned into nothingness. That's right, it is the earth dragon grass. Seeing this, Meng Quan nodded and said, "You have done well in this matter. Here are 2 ninth realm medicinal pills as a reward." With a flick of his wrist, 2 medicinal pills flew out from Meng Quan's sleeve. One flew towards Ningyu, the other towards the long-haired man. Earth-changing pill. Catching the pill, the long-haired man revealed a shocked expression. The earth-changing pill was a top-notch pill even amongst the 9th grade pills. If an ordinary 1st grade Earth Sovereign swallowed the earth-changing pill, there was a 50% chance of advancing to the 2nd grade Earth Sovereign realm. Gotcha! The long-haired man didn't waste any time. He directly threw the changing earth pill into his mouth, sat down cross-legged, and began to refine it. I can't believe it. The long-haired man's action stunned you. Although the earth-changing pill was special and of high quality, there was no need to consume it now, right? Buzz. As soon as the earth-changing pill entered his stomach, the long-haired man's body began to change. Wisps of black gas were continuously emitting from the forehead of the long-haired man. Ningyu knew very well that the black gas was the impurities in the long-haired man's body. As the black gas continued to gush out, the long-haired man's aura began to soar. Bang! About 5 minutes later, when a muffled sound came from the long-haired man's consciousness, the long-haired man's aura suddenly increased. 2nd grade, Earth Supreme Realm. At this moment, the long-haired man's cultivation had risen from 1st grade Earth Sovereign to 2nd grade Earth Sovereign. Thank you, leader. Sensing the changes in his consciousness, the long-haired man was overjoyed. He hurriedly thanked him and said, "When we attack Giant Shield City, I'll definitely charge at the forefront and kill the enemies for you." "All right, you may leave." Meng Quan waved his hand, indicating that the long-haired man could leave first. "Yes." The long-haired man nodded, then turned around and walked out of the hall. Ningyu moved his feet and followed behind the long-haired man, wanting to leave the hall. "He can go, you stay." However, just as Ningyu raised his right leg, Meng Quan's voice sounded out in the hall. "Your 80 stalks of Earth Dragon Grass have really helped me a lot. Tell me, what benefits do you want?" This subordinate wouldn't dare. Ningyu naturally didn't dare to act rashly in front of Meng Quan. He hurriedly said, "These 80 stalks of Earth Dragon Grass were sent by Mu Ping and Mu Hua. We're only completing the mission. Mu Ping and Mu Hua probably asked you to find the Earth Dragon Grass to refine elixirs that can control the 2 bloodthirsty madwolves. How about this? I'll make the decision. After they refine the elixirs, I'll give you one. In other words, you can have 1 bloodthirsty madwolf as your mount." Meng Quan said with a slight frown. Hearing this, Ningyu revealed a terrified expression. He hurriedly waved his hand and said, "This subordinate wouldn't dare. Those 2 bloodthirsty madwolves belong to Mu Hua and Mu Ping. This subordinate won't. If I say you can, then you can. If you can't, then you can leave first." Meng Quan interrupted Ningyu. "Mu Hua, Mu Ping, after you're done refining the elixirs, give 1 to him." As he spoke, Meng Quan flicked his wrist, and 2 stalks of Earth Dragon Grass flew towards Mu Hua and Mu Ping. "Thank you, Master." After receiving the Earth Dragon Grass, Mu Ping and Mu Hua exchanged a glance before leaving the hall with Ningyu. In an instant, the hall turned silent once again. The Shido Venerable's face was extremely unsightly. If it wasn't for the Southern Dipper Venerable stopping him, he would have definitely snatched the Earth Dragon Grass. 80 stalks of Earth Dragon Grass was an extremely precious herb. The 3 quasi-heavenly sovereigns were determined to get a share of the loot no matter what. Rise. Regardless of what Shido, the Venerable One, and the others were thinking, Meng Quan waved his hands, causing a furnace to appear above him. What is he trying to do? Meng Quan's actions left the Shido Venerable dumbfounded. What else can he do? He even brought out his cauldron, so he must be trying to refine elixirs here. The Southern Dipper Venerable said. That's right, it should be my god. The Northern Dipper Venerable echoed. However, the Northern Dipper Venerable couldn't help cursing halfway through his words. He noticed that Meng Quan had thrown the remaining 78 stalks of Earth Dragon grass into the cauldron. The preciousness of the Earth Dragon grass didn't need them to explain. Meng Quan was using 78 stalks of Earth Dragon grass to refine elixirs, along with dozens of precious herbs. One could imagine how heaven-defying this batch of elixirs would be. Let's play by ear. Since Meng Quan was refining the elixirs, the Shido Venerable and the rest tactfully kept their silence. At this moment, even a fool could guess what they were thinking. When Meng Quan was done refining the elixirs, they would suddenly make a move and snatch the elixirs. An elixir refined with so many precious herbs was probably the best elixir to protect one's life. At the same time, in a small palace not far from the hall, the two masters, Mu Hua and Mu Ping, stood on both sides with Ning Yu and the long-haired man standing beside them. Next, we're going to start refining the elixirs. Your task is to stand guard for us. Mu Hua glanced at Ning Yu and the long-haired man, then said in a deep voice, "We'll activate the palace's formation later. The long-haired man will guard outside the door, and the black-faced burly man will guard inside. Before we finish refining the elixirs, don't let anyone in." The long-haired man hesitated and asked, "What if the chief comes?" "Humph, do you need me to teach you about this?" Mu Hua scoffed. "My master is a peak grade 9 elixir master. He knows that others can't be disturbed when they're refining elixirs. Otherwise, their efforts will go to waste." "Got it." The long-haired man dared not delay and hurriedly left the small palace. Whoosh! Not long after the long-haired man left, Mu Hua and Mu Ping formed hand seals with both hands and activated the formation in the small palace. Hee, don't worry. Master told us to give you elixir, so we'll definitely give you one. Chapter 1473. Double Explosion. Thank you, masters. Ning Yu thanked him, then went straight to the door of the palace and stood there. Actually, Ning Yu wanted to laugh. The reason why his body was trembling just now was because he was excited, not because he was worried that he wouldn't get a share of the pills. The array that Mu Hua and Mu Ping had set up was practically tailor-made for Ning Yu. Ning Yu had observed it carefully. The defensive power of this array formation was very strong. Ordinary 9th grade initial Earth Sovereigns wouldn't be able to barge in. Even a late-phase 9th grade Earth Sovereign would have to spend some effort to barge in. No one could barge in, which gave Ning Yu a chance. Begin. Mu Hua and Mu Ping didn't care too much about it. They just assumed that Ning Yu wouldn't be able to get the pill. Exchanging glances, Mu Ping and Mu Hua began to refine pills. Whoosh, whoosh. They took out their pill furnaces at the same time and threw the first herb into the pill furnace. In the Eastern Army, their alchemy standards were second only to Meng Quan. Normally, the two of them would compete with each other. This time, when refining the elixir, they were also competing to see who could refine the elixir first. Elder Yang, if the people of your Nebula Academy were to go all out, would you be able to subdue them? While Mu Hua and Mu Ping were refining pills, Ning Yu began to communicate with Yang Chong, trying to determine the difference in strength between the two sides. Yang Chong was an 8th grade Earth Sovereign, the strongest expert of the Nebula Academy in the Ascension Tower. The chances are slim. After a brief pondering, Yang Chong said, "The two of them are pinnacle 8th grade Earth Sovereigns with powerful strength," unless Yang Chong did not continue speaking. Because Yang Chong was very clear that the possibility was very low, basically impossible. Unless what? Ning Yu asked. Unless the two of them suffered heavy injuries and their strength dropped by 80%. Yang Chong replied, "The pills they concoct are of a very high level. If I'm not mistaken, even if they succeed, their auras will drop by a lot. At that time, do you have a way to kill them?" Ning Yu asked again. "No. Even if their auras have dropped a lot, they're still very strong." Yang Chong shook his head. "Got it. I'll think of something," Ning Yu said. "Be careful. If you really can't handle it, don't expose yourself. After all, Mu Hua and Mu Ping were both pinnacle 8th grade Earth sovereigns, so Yang Chong didn't want Ningyu to mess around. Where there is life, there is hope. One wrong step, and every step after that was wrong. Thanks for the reminder. I know what to do. Ningyu knew exactly what he was going to do next. Since Mu Hua and Mu Ping were competing to see who could refine the pill first, there would definitely be a problem. In fact, there was a high possibility that the pill refinement would fail. Once they failed, they would definitely have to go through the second round of refining. At that time, Ningyu's possession of the Earth Dragon Grass would become a crucial factor. Fortunately, I left 2 stalks of Earth Dragon Grass behind. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu's consciousness sank into the interspatial ring. Ningyu didn't give all of the Earth Dragon Grass to Meng Quan. There were still 2 stalks of Earth Dragon Grass in the interspatial ring. Ningyu's goal was clear. He wanted to tamper with the 2 stalks of Earth Dragon Grass. Sapling, Law of Space. Ningyu went straight to the point without beating around the bush. I want to deal with 2 pinnacle 8th grade Earth sovereigns, and I need your help. Tell me, what do you need us to do? The sapling and the Law of Space floated in the interspatial ring, looking very satisfied. After devouring by Shield's energy, both the sapling and the Law of Space had received great benefits. Among them, the sapling directly advanced from 3rd grade Earth Sovereign to 5th grade Earth Sovereign, and its strength increased by several times. Its Law of Space also soared to 4th grade Earth Sovereign, and its strength could not be compared to before. After all, Bai Shield was a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign, and the energy contained in his body was extremely terrifying. It's simple. You 2 enter the Earth Dragon Grass and help me deal with the 2 pinnacle 8th grade Earth Sovereigns. Ningyu said, What? Hearing Ningyu's words, the sapling and the Law of Space revealed shocked expressions. Was he joking? One of them was a 5th grade Earth Sovereign, and the other was a 4th grade Earth Sovereign. Asking them to deal with a pinnacle 8th grade Earth Sovereign was simply asking them to die. You didn't hear me? If you didn't hear me, I'll say it again. Ningyu continued. Hold it. You didn't hear me? What are you trying to do by asking us to deal with a pinnacle 8th grade Earth Sovereign? The sapling was a little angry, and it rejected, I could do anything else, but this is out of the question. I'm sorry, but there's nothing I can do. Comparatively speaking, the Law of Space had a good temper. But even if it had a good temper, the Law of Space wouldn't take the risk. Even if a pinnacle 8th grade Earth Sovereign stood there and let them attack him, there was no way they could win. Very well, since you don't want to help, then I'll have to do it myself. Being rejected by the Law of Space and the sapling, Ningyu wasn't angry. Instead, he said, but I'll say this first. If I'm killed by them later, the 2 of you won't be able to bear the consequences. The sapling and the Law of Space's faces darkened. In fact, what Ningyu said was right. They were bound together, and if he was killed, they wouldn't have a good ending either. Tell me the specific plan. After thinking about it, the sapling and the Law of Space finally compromised. But before they promised Ningyu, they still wanted to know the specific plan. They couldn't be ignorant. That's more like it. The corner of Ningyu's mouth rose, and he began to explain the plan in detail. Chi. At the same time, Mu Ping and Mu Hua were racing against time to refine elixirs. In the blink of an eye, half an hour passed. Mu Hua and Mu Ping definitely wouldn't be able to refine elixirs in half an hour. Ha, Mu Hua, I might be one step ahead of you. Casually grabbing a medicinal herb and throwing it into the cauldron, Mu Ping laughed heartily. I've already completed the first stage. Next, I'll proceed to the second stage. With my current speed, I'll need at most 3 hours to successfully refine a medicinal pill. 3 hours? Humph. I'll only need 2 hours at most to refine the elixir. With a cold snort, Mu will wave his hands repeatedly, and all the soul force in his body swept out and entered the cauldron. Bang! The more anxious, the worse it would be. This sentence was very normal. Mu's soul force had just entered the cauldron when something strange happened. A muffled sound rang out, and then Mu's expression turned extremely ugly. Elixir explosion. Under normal circumstances, with Mu Hua's alchemy level, It was impossible for his elixir to explode. However, he and Mu Ping were in a bet, so he was a little eager for quick success. What? Your elixir exploded? Mu Hua's elixir explosion made the corners of Mu Ping's mouth curl up. He said sinisterly, "You're finished this time. Wait obediently. In 3 hours I can bang." However, Mu Ping's words came to an abrupt halt halfway. A muffled sound rang out. Elixir explosion. Chapter 1474. Attack. Mu Hua's eyes widened when he saw Mu Ping explode his pill. Then he laughed maniacally. Ha ha ha. Mu Hua's laughter was a little unbridled, a little arrogant, and a little vindicated. Mu Ping had mocked him just now. Now, it was his turn to mock Mu Ping. Here's my chance. Ningyu had been paying attention to Mu Hua and Mu Ping. When they both exploded their pills, Ningyu's worry was slightly alleviated. To be honest, although Ningyu thought they would explode their pills, he did not have much confidence in his heart. Now that they both exploded their pills, Ningyu knew that his plan was progressing according to his imagination. Come here. As expected, Mu Ping fiercely glared at Mu Hua. Soon after, he waved his hand at Ningyu and said, "Our pill refinement has failed. Go to Master and ask if there's any extra Earth Dragon grass." As he spoke, Mu Ping flicked his wrist, wanting to break the surrounding array. Seeing this, Ningyu was shocked and hurriedly said, "Master Mu Ping, actually, I still have Earth Dragon grass on me." What? Mu Ping's eyes widened when he heard Ningyu's words. His aura pressed towards Ningyu, and he said coldly, "You actually did not take out all the Earth Dragon grass in the main hall. What are your intentions?" The powerful aura made Ningyu uneasy. Swoosh! At the crucial moment, Ningyu felt another aura flying towards him. However, this time, the aura did not press down on Ningyu. Instead, it helped Ningyu resist Mu Ping's aura. Mu Ping, since he still has Earth Dragon grass on him, why don't we continue the pill refinement competition and see who can refine the pill first? Mu Hua said coldly. That's exactly what I was thinking. Mu Ping said solemnly. This time, I will definitely refine the pill before you. Masters, I only have 2 stalks of Earth Dragon grass left. You have to use them sparingly. Ningyu took out 2 stalks of Earth Dragon grass and threw them at Mu Ping and Mu Hua. Pa! Pa! Firmly catching the Earth Dragon grass, Mu Ping and Mu Hua did not hesitate, immediately beginning the second alchemy competition. Very good. Follow the script. A smile appeared on the corner of Ningyu's mouth as he muttered, "Let's wait for a few more minutes." Chi-chi. This time, Mu Ping and Mu Hua weren't in a hurry. From a very first step, they had been very attentive. He extracted the medicinal ingredients, compressed them, fused them, and formed a pill. Step by step, Mu Ping and the others proceeded smoothly and methodically. Time continued to pass. Ningyu was very patient. He was not in a hurry to communicate with the sapling and spatial laws. Only by communicating with the sapling and spatial laws after forming the pill would the success rate be very high. About 3 or 4 hours later, bang, bang, accompanied by 2 muffled sounds, the pill cauldrons in front of Mu Ping and Mu Hua opened their lids. Then 2 pills flew out from the 2 pill furnaces. Mu Ping and Mu Hua reacted quickly, grabbing the medicinal pills in their hands at the same time. Not bad. I didn't expect your alchemy level to be so high. You can actually refine medicinal pills with me. Mu Ping glanced at the medicinal pills in Mu Hua's hands and said sinisterly, "I wonder what the quality of the medicinal pills you refined is like." I refined a high-grade medicinal pill. As he spoke, Mu Ping opened his palm. A white elixir appeared in his palm. The white medicinal pill's quality had reached the high-grade level. Sorry, the medicinal pill I refined has also reached the high-grade level. Mu Hua opened his palm. The medicinal pill in his palm had the same quality as the medicinal pill Mu Ping refined. Ha! Now that I've refined the medicinal pill, I can bring out the 2 bloodthirsty madwolves. Smiling faintly, Mu Ping grabbed at the void with his right hand. Crack! Suddenly, the void ruptured, and 2 huge light pillars shot out from the void. Within each light pillar was a bloodthirsty mad wolf. Looking at the two bloodthirsty mad wolves that suddenly appeared, Ningyu could not help but clench his fists tightly. The ferocious mad wolf and the scarred mad wolf. These two bloodthirsty mad wolves were the ferocious mad wolves and the scarred mad wolves. However, their current conditions were clearly not optimistic. Their breathing was weak, and several of their bones and tendons were broken. Why don't you give a medicinal pill in your hand to him? Mu Ping looked at Mu Hua and said, Your martial strength is slightly stronger than mine, so I definitely don't need a grade 7 Earth Supreme as a mount. Nonsense. Why don't you hand over your medicinal pill? Mu was said coldly. Master only said to give one medicinal pill to him. He didn't give anyone's medicinal pill to him. Why should I? It's indeed a little troublesome. Mu Ping frowned slightly and said, How about this? Let him take out another Earth Dragon grass. Then we can work together to help him refine another medicinal pill. That's a good idea, I agree. Mu Hua nodded and said, Let's control the bloodthirsty mad wolves first. We already agreed that I want the Scar Mad Wolf. No problem. I want the ferocious Mad Wolf, Mu Ping said. Attack! At the critical moment, Ningyu shouted. Swish! Ningyu's sudden shout stunned Mu Ping and Mu Hua. In that 1 second, the medicinal pills in their hands underwent a shocking change. Crack! Crack! The pills shattered, and 2 streaks of cold light shot towards their hearts at an extremely shocking speed. The speed of the cold light was very fast, extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, the cold rays arrived before Mu Ping and Mu Hua, just inches away from their hearts. Puffed, puffed. At the critical moment, Mu Ping and Mu Hua hurriedly dodged to the side, barely dodging the fatal attack. That was close. After dodging the fatal attack, Mu Ping and Mu Hua let out a long sigh of relief. If it wasn't for their powerful soul perception, they would have died long ago. Who are you? Mu Ping pointed at his chest a few times and said coldly, Why did you trespass here? Ha! Ningyu smiled faintly, and with a shake of his body, he transformed into his true form. Ningyu, it's you. Seeing Ningyu reveal his true form, the ferocious Mad Wolf and the scarred Mad Wolf shouted, You're Ningyu? Hearing this, Mu Ping and Mu Hua's eyes flashed with a frightening light. They already knew what had happened at the gates of Giant Shield City. Ningyu was a ferocious person who even dared to take the attack of a Sky Supreme powerhouse head-on. That's right, I'm Ningyu. Ningyu nodded. You have a chance to live now. Submit to me. As long as you choose to submit to me, I can spare your lives. You want us to submit to you? Mu Ping and Mu Hua seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world. They laughed wildly. Ha ha ha. Who do you think you are? Even if we're injured, killing you is as easy as pie. Is that so? Why don't you look behind you? Chapter 1475. Chapter 1475. Chapter 1475 Uniform Humph. No matter how extravagant your words are, you won't be able to escape death today. Mu Ping coldly snorted. He did not believe Ningyu. They had already set up a spiritual array around the palace, so even a 9th grade Earth Sovereign wouldn't be able to sneak in. Ningyu was asking them to look behind them. He was clearly trying to divert their attention so that the driver could escape. In the eyes of Mu Ping and the others, those 2 beams of cold light were Ningyu's trump cards. Ningyu's heart must be flustered that he was unable to kill them even after using his trump card. With Ningyu's current state, even if they were injured, he could still easily kill them. Sai, what's wrong with this world? Why doesn't anyone believe the truth? Mu Ping and Mu Hua's reactions caused Ningyu to sigh. He muttered, Don't blame me for not warning you when you get killed. Ha ha! Mu Ping threw his head back and laughed wildly. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Poochie. Halfway through his maniacal laughter, Mu Ping abruptly spat out a mouthful of crimson blood. His body flew forward in a straight line. Kacha! The immense force from his back caused Mu Ping to lose his footing, causing him to fall straight to the ground, face first. Who is it? The sudden change caused Mu Hua's expression to change drastically. He looked around cautiously and said in a deep voice, Come out if you have the ability. Don't sneak around in the void. As you wish. In the next moment, the space beside Mu was split open, and then Yang Chang's indifferent voice resounded. 8th grade, Earth Sovereign. Mu's face instantly turned cold when he saw Yang Chang suddenly appear. Although he and Mu Ping were both pinnacle 8th grade Earth Sovereigns, they've suffered heavy injuries, and their strength wasn't even 50% of their peak. In their current state, it was very difficult for them to be Yang Chang's match. Quick, break the array and find a way to notify Master. I'll stop this 8th grade Earth Sovereign. Mu's expression was solemn as he sent a soul message to Mu Ping. No matter what, we must capture them alive today. No problem. Mu Ping knew the severity of the situation. He nodded, then waved his hands and unleashed a technique to break the formation. The sapling and the law of space. If you don't act now, when will you? At this critical moment, Ningyu shouted. Voila! As Ningyu shouted, the void beside Mu Ping suddenly split open. Xiao! Xiao! The sapling and the law of space shot out in unison. In front of them, 2 dazzling flames flickered continuously. Myriad bone flame, myriad beast flame. Before the sapling and the law of space entered the earth dragon grass, Ningyu had given them the 10,000 bone flame and the 10,000 beast flame for safekeeping, so that he could use them at a critical moment. Only like this could they deal a fatal blow to Mu Ping and the others. After all, Mu Ping and Mu Huo were both pinnacle 8th grade Earth Sovereigns, and their soul energies had also reached initial 9th grade Earth Sovereign. To deal with martial artists like them, they had to be dealt with in one fell swoop. They could not be given any chance to make a comeback. Otherwise, there would be endless troubles in the future. Retreat quickly. Mu's senses and reactions were fast. As soon as the 10,000 bone flame and the 10,000 beast flame appeared, he shouted, "Those 2 flames are in the top 30 of the mystical flames ranking. Don't let them touch you. You can't even protect yourself right now, and you still want to help others." The corner of Yang Chang's mouth rose. Then he waved his hand and said, "Come out, all of you. Let's join forces again and teach them a lesson." Swish, swish, swish. In the next instant, the void split open and several figures emerged. These figures were all 7th grade Earth Sovereigns. They were the elites of Nebula Academy. Yang Chang was at the front, and the 7th grade Earth Sovereigns were behind him. While Mu Huo was distracted, they suddenly launched an attack in an attempt to finish him off as soon as possible. Rumble. A great battle broke out. Mu Huo struggled to hold on. Damn it! Mu Huo cursed inwardly. He had no choice but to withdraw his senses and turn around to fight Yang Chang and the others. Poof! On the other side, Mu Ping's clothes were charred black after the 10,000 bone flame and the 10,000 beast flame closed in on him. Let's attack together. With the red demon sword in hand, Ningyu was the first to charge at Mu Ping. With the 10,000 bone flame and the 10,000 beast flame restraining Mu Ping could only display 1% of his peak strength. In this state, Ningyu could kill Mu Ping in a one-on-one fight, let alone when Ningyu, the sapling, and the law of space worked together. Poof, poof, poof. Under the joint attack of Ningyu and the sapling, Mu Ping continuously coughed up blood. Every time Mu Ping coughed up blood, his aura dropped a little. In the end, Mu Ping directly fell to the ground, his aura extremely weak. A peak 8th grade Earth Sovereign. Not bad, not bad. The sapling and the law of space stared at Mu Ping with great excitement. The sapling was a 5th grade Earth Sovereign, while the law of space was a 4th grade Earth Sovereign. According to their speculations, as long as they could devour Mu Ping, their strength would increase. Although a peak 8th grade Earth Sovereign didn't contain as much energy as a peak 9th grade Earth Sovereign, it was still very good. If Mu Ping wasn't an idiot, how could they capture a peak 8th grade Earth Sovereign? Don't be in such a hurry to devour them. I still have use for them. How could you not know what the sapling and the law of space were thinking? He said in a deep voice, "What you need to do now is to capture Mu Hua together with Elder Yang. I can make the decision to hand over all their treasures and elixirs to you." Deal. The sapling and the law of space were very shrewd. Only when Ningyu said this did they move their gazes away from Mu Ping. Moreover, the sapling said righteously, "We are on the same side. Even if you didn't say anything, we would have taken the initiative to deal with Mu Hua. That's right. We have always been reasonable. Now, you just stay here and watch, waiting for our triumphant return." The law of space seemed to be a practical person. As soon as he finished speaking, he directly flew out and joined the battle on the other side. "Wait for me, Mu Ping. Wait for me." Seeing the law of space join the battle, the sapling roared and rushed out, afraid that Ningyu would laugh at him if he was late. The sapling and the law of space's actions made Ningyu's face dark, but their willingness to help saved Ningyu a lot of trouble. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu moved to Mu Ping's side and said, "What I said just now is still valid. As long as you submit to me, I can spare your life." "Bah!" Mu Ping spat on the ground and said coldly, "I'll tell you the truth. I left a strange poison in the bodies of those two bloodthirsty berserk wolves. If you dare do anything to me, I guarantee that they will die a horrible death." "You're threatening me." Ningyu's expression didn't change much. He said indifferently, "I have a special characteristic. I can be persuaded by reason, but not cowed by force. Since you don't know what's good for you, then I'm sorry. I can only send you to the next world." Chapter 1476. Chapter 1476. Chapter 1476. Help, perish together? Sorry, but in front of me, you won't even have the chance to perish together with me. Ningyu's lips curled upwards as he continued. The two flames beside you are the 10,000 bone flame and the 10,000 beast flame. They are ranked 29th and 30th on Mysterious Flames ranking. As long as you want to self-detonate, they will immediately attack and devour you. Mu Ping did not speak. Instead, his expression darkened. The main reason why he didn't think of a way to leave was because of the 10,000 bone flame and the 10,000 beast flame. The 10,000 bone flame and 10,000 beast flame surrounded him like sticky candy. Every time he moved, the myriad bone flame and the myriad beast flame would shoot out a blazing cold light towards him. Even if he was a pinnacle 8th grade Earth Sovereign with his soul energy reaching the initial phase of the 9th grade Earth Sovereign realm, he was helpless before the flames. Think about it. Submitting to me won't do you any harm. On the contrary, it will improve your alchemy skills. Ningyu shrugged his shoulders. Although your cultivation is at the pinnacle 8th grade Earth Sovereign realm, your soul energy is only at the initial phase of the 9th grade Earth Sovereign realm, so it's not too powerful. If you submit to me, I can find an alchemist whose soul energy has reached the level of liquid to teach the two of you. Transforming gas in a liquid? Are you sure you're not messing with me? Mu Ping was a little confused. Ningyu's soul force was only at the peak of the 8th grade. How could he find an alchemist whose soul force had reached the level of liquefying qi? "All right, I promise you." After pondering for a moment, Mu Ping said, "As long as you can find an alchemist whose soul force has reached the level of liquefaction, I will submit to you. Word or no proof. You have to swear a heavenly law oath," Ningyu said. "No problem. However, you must also swear a heavenly law oath that you must find the alchemist within 3 minutes. Otherwise, you will have to let me go," Mu Ping said coldly. "Hee deal." Ningyu smiled. Then his consciousness sank into the tower of Yuzuan. "Jin E, there's something I need your help with." Ningyu did not waste words with Jin E, directly saying, "Display the strength of your soul force. Let Mu Ping see." Although Jin E was unwilling, under Ningyu's pressure, she could only fly out of the Yuzuan pagoda and float in front of Mu Ping. Boom! The strength of his qi to liquid soul power was suddenly displayed, crazily pressing down on Mu Ping. Kaka! Under the pressure of this frightening soul force, Mu Ping's knees made cracking sounds, and he could not help but kneel on the ground. You can really find a 9th grade alchemist who can liquefy qi. Mu Ping was so shocked that his jaw almost dropped. Even in the Pill Creation Continent's Alchemy Union, alchemists whose soul power was strong enough to liquefy were rare. Their master, Meng Quan, had a very high position in the Alchemy Union, but the strength of his soul force was only at the level of transforming qi into liquid. You swore an oath to the heavens. Ningyu didn't care about Mu Ping's reaction. He reminded, I want you to open your mind as soon as possible and let me control you. Mu Ping was silent, not relaxing his mind. You want him to submit to you? He looked at Mu Ping and then looked at Ningyu. She said, there's no need to speak so much nonsense. I can use my soul force to suppress him, and then you can leave a trace of soul force in his sea of consciousness. One who is unaccountably solicitous is hiding evil intentions. Speak, what exactly do you want? Ningyu rolled his eyes and said, of course I want you to let me go. He didn't beat around the bush and said directly, I am the chief alchemist of the Jin clan. I have been missing for so long. The Jin clan will definitely be worried. You are like a clay bodhisattva crossing the river. You can't even protect yourself, yet you still want to worry about the Jin clan. Ningyu said, one price, if you help me control Mu Ping, I can let you move freely in the first few floors of the Yuzuan Pagoda. Deal. Yi hurriedly said, afraid that Ningyu would go back on his words. Actually, Yi wasn't an idiot. She knew that Ningyu definitely wouldn't agree to let her go. So when Ningyu said that she could move freely, she immediately expressed her agreement. After all, being cooped up in the 9th floor for a long time, it was hard to not feel a little uneasy. If she could fight for a chance to move freely, Yi definitely wouldn't give it up. What do you want to do? Yi agreeing to Ning, you made things difficult for Mu Ping. Originally, Mu Ping was still planning to find a chance to leave, but now that Yi had joined, he directly gave up. Under the pressure of Yi's powerful soul force, Mu Ping's mind was completely relaxed. Swoosh! Ningyu seized the opportunity and directly separated out a trace of soul force, stealthily entering Mu Ping's consciousness sea. Thinking about it, Ningyu separated out a trace of soul force, stealthily entering Mu Ping's consciousness sea. Controlling the consciousness sea, according to reason, could make Mu Ping feel apprehensive, but Ningyu had to make preparations. After all, if his consciousness sea shattered, Mu Ping wouldn't die, but if his heart exploded, Mu Ping would definitely die. You. Feeling the soul force appearing in his consciousness sea and heart, Mu Ping's eyes widened, his face filled with despair. You what you? Ningyu rolled his eyes. Go help me deal with Mu Hua. Make Mu Hua submit to me, otherwise I will let you know why flowers are so red. Kaka. Mu Ping clenched his fists, not following Ningyu's instructions. Puchi. However, Mu Ping was quickly punished. Ningyu circulated the soul force in his consciousness sea, causing him to feel a pain like his consciousness sea was about to explode. I'll go. Mu Ping couldn't bear the pain in his consciousness sea. He could only say, I will help you deal with Mu Hua. That's more like it. Ningyu gave up on circulating the soul force in Mu Ping's consciousness sea. As long as you listen to me obediently, I guarantee you won't suffer. Like I'll believe you. Mu Ping viciously said in his heart, I'll feign civility first. As long as there's a chance, I will immediately kill you. Shua. Thinking like this, Mu Ping didn't dare to show it on his face. He stomped on the ground, charging straight at Mu Hua. What are you standing there for? Hurry up and help. Ningyu glanced at Yi and said, You're helping me right now to atone for the crimes of the Jin clan. Otherwise, I'll kill my way into the Jin clan and eradicate it. With just you, even if you cultivate for a few hundred years, you still won't be able to eradicate the Jin clan. Yi curled her lips, moving her feet, joining the other side of the battlefield. Originally, Mu Hua couldn't hold on. Now that Mu Ping and Yi joined the battle, he couldn't hold on anymore. Although Mu Ping's battle strength wasn't very strong, Yi's battle strength was shocking. In just a few minutes, Mu Hua was defeated. It was the same scenario. Yi controlled Mu Hua. Ningyu used his soul force, leaving it in Mu Hua's consciousness, sea, and heart. Ningyu, do you mean what you said? Just when Ningyu controlled Mu Ping, the sapling and the law of space flew over, We want Mu Ping and Mu Hua's magical treasures and pellets. Since the sapling and the law of space had reached the 5th and 4th grade Earth Sovereign realms, they concealed their auras. Chapter 1477. News. Be careful. Ningyu did not reject the sapling and the law of space. After all, without their help, Ningyu would not be able to control Mu Ping and Mu Hua. Since he had promised to hand the treasures and pills to the sapling, Ningyu would not go back on his word. Shua, Shua. After receiving Ningyu's reply, the sapling and the law of space quickly moved, one towards Mu Ping, the other towards Mu Hua. Ningyu, we have already submitted to you. How dare you go back on your word? Seeing the two cold lights rushing towards them, Mu Ping and Mu Hua revealed a shocked expression and hurriedly said, "Don't make a fuss. You just need to hand over all the treasures and pills on you. I guarantee you'll be fine." Ningyu rolled his eyes and said, "Both of them are not easy to deal with. I advise you not to play any tricks. Otherwise, if there are any problems, don't come looking for me." After saying that, Ningyu walked towards the ferocious Mad Wolf and Scarred Wolf. The ferocious Mad Wolf and the others were heavily injured, and there were still the world's strange poisons left in their bodies by Mu Ping and Mu Hua. Although it would not erupt now, Ningyu still wanted to find an opportunity to help them. However, the person who would be able to cure the poison in the ferocious Mad Wolf and the others was not Ningyu, but Jean E. Jean E was a peak 9th grade alchemist. Her soul force had reached the level of transforming energy into liquid. With her help, Ningyu did not have to worry about not being able to cure the poison in the ferocious Mad Wolf and the others. "You too, relax." Jean E rolled her eyes, then released her powerful soul force, entering the ferocious Mad Wolf and Scarred Wolf's bodies in the blink of an eye. "I have to think of a way to leave the Eastern Army." Ningyu looked at the busying sapling and the law of space, as well as Jean E, who was helping the ferocious Mad Wolf and the others to cure the poison, and mumbled, "I hope Meng Quan is using the earth tiger grass to concoct pills." Drip, drip. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, half an hour had passed. After half an hour of tormenting Mu Ping and the others, the sapling and the law of space finally managed to extract the magic treasures and pills from their bodies. "Ningyu, thank you." After obtaining the treasures and pills, the sapling and the law of space waved at Ningyu and said, "We're going into seclusion. Don't disturb us if there's nothing particularly important." Swoosh. As he spoke, the sapling and the power of space transformed into a series of afterimages that disappeared into his storage ring. Ningyu's face darkened at the sapling's actions. Mu Ping and Mu Hua were Meng Quan's disciples. They had countless treasures and pills on them. There were more than 10 storage bags alone, causing Ningyu to stare blankly. If he had known this would happen, he definitely wouldn't have given the sapling and the law of space so easily. Puff, puff. Right at this moment, the ferocious, bloodthirsty Mad Wolf and the scar-faced, bloodthirsty Mad Wolf spat out a mouthful of blood at the same time, their faces turning pale. The only difference was that the blood spat out by the ferocious, bloodthirsty Mad Wolf and the others was not red, but black. It was clear that the world's poison in their bodies had been forcefully forced out by Jean E. Phew! After forcing out the world's poison, Jean E let out a long sigh of relief. That was close. Fortunately, her soul power had reached the level of liquefaction. Otherwise, she would have died without a doubt if she came into contact with the world's poison with her current strength. "Let me enter the Tower of Yuzuan." Jean E looked at Ningyu and said coldly, "Remember what you said? I can freely enter and exit the first few floors of the Tower of Yuzuan. Don't worry, I'm a man of my word." Ningyu waved his sleeve, and a cold light shot out from the Tower of Yuzuan, sucking Jean E inside. After doing all this, Ningyu put away the Tower of Yuzuan and fell into deep thought. The reason why Ningyu did not bother with the ferocious, bloodthirsty Mad Wolf and the others was because he was having a headache. It was still the same question from before. Just how could he leave the Eastern Army? Grandmasters. Just as Ningyu was deep in thought, outside the small palace, the long-haired man said in a clear voice, "The leader wants you to go to the main hall. He says he has something important to do." Shua, Mu Ping, and Mu Hua did not immediately reply to the long-haired man. Instead, they looked at Ningyu, wanting to seek Ningyu's approval. "Open the array, go." Although Ningyu was very unwilling to go, he still said in a low voice, "When you get there, you should know what to say and what not to say." Ningyu was not afraid that Mu Ping and the others would play any tricks. After all, he had left some soul power in their sea of consciousness and heart. As long as they dared to have any crooked thoughts, Ningyu would definitely not spare them. "Open." Mu Ping waved his hands repeatedly and then suddenly blasted out, "Kacha!" Following Mu Ping's shout, the array let out a clear cracking sound, but it did not break. Ningyu was very clear that this situation was inevitable. If the array could be broken so easily, Mu Ping and Mu Hua would have acted earlier and would not have waited until now. Kacha! 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 A full 3 minutes passed. With every passing minute, a cracking sound came from all around. 3 minutes later, 3 cracking sounds rang out. The array around the small palace was finally broken. What about them? Although the array was broken, Mu Ping and Mu Hua were not in a hurry to leave. Instead, they pointed to the ferocious, bloodthirsty mad wolf and the scarred, bloodthirsty mad wolf, and said, "Should we bring them over together?" "Bring them. When the time comes, just say that the 2 elixirs were handed over to me. These 2 bloodthirsty mad wolves are now listening to my orders." Ningyu thought about it and said, "Anyway, when we get to the main hall and see Meng Quan, there are some things that can be said and some things that cannot be said. We know that." Mu Ping and Mu Hua exchanged glances and then moved, leaving the small palace. "Let's go too." Ningyu smiled at the ferocious, bloodthirsty mad wolf and the others and said, "When we get to the main hall, don't say anything. Just act according to my signal." "Understood." The ferocious, bloodthirsty mad wolf and the scarred, bloodthirsty mad wolf were not fools. They knew that this place was very dangerous. Only by following closely behind Ningyu and obeying Ningyu's orders could they survive. Otherwise, they would not even know how they died. "You guys," at the entrance of the small palace, the long-haired man looked at Mu Ping and Mu Hua, then at Ningyu and the ferocious, bloodthirsty mad wolf and the others, asking hesitantly, "What happened?" "Don't ask what you shouldn't ask," Ningyu said coldly. "Why did Meng Quan call Mu Hua and Mu Ping? Tell me." "I'm not sure either. It seems that the other 3 armies have genius alchemists who came over and want to compete with our Eastern army in alchemy." The long-haired man did not dare to be negligent and said hurriedly. After all, the long-haired man's life was in Ningyu's hands. As long as Ningyu willed it, he would die without a doubt. Therefore, Ningyu's questions still had to be answered at the first possible moment. "These Emperor-grade essence crystals are for you. Go and spread some rumors in the Eastern army. When necessary, you have to expose this matter." Chapter 1478. Ma Qianshan under Mu Ping and Mu Hua's lead. Ningyu didn't encounter any obstruction all along the way, and he quickly arrived before the great hall where Meng Quan and the others were. "Come in." Just as Ningyu and the rest stopped, Meng Quan's indifferent voice sounded in their ears. Creak. After that, the door to the hall slowly opened. Taking a deep breath, Mu Ping and Mu Hua stepped into the hall. Behind Mu Ping and the others, Ningyu and the 2 bloodthirsty berserk wolves also entered. Sure enough, there are many more people here. As soon as he entered the main hall, Ningyu discovered that there were 6 more martial artists in the main hall. More accurately, there were 6 alchemists. Among them, there were 3 older alchemists who had reached the early stage of the 9th grade. The 3 young alchemists had reached the peak of the 8th grade. The 6 alchemists split into 3 teams and stood behind Shido, the Venerable One, and the others. Dong dong dong. Shido, the Venerable One, tapped his chair with his right hand. "Meng Quan, who are you guys going to send to fight? We've been waiting for so long." Shido, the Venerable One, and the others were old foxes. During this period of time, Meng Quan used the earth dragon grass that Ningyu handed over and refined a medicinal pill that emitted a terrifying medicinal fragrance. According to Shido, the Venerable One, and the other speculations, the pill's quality was infinitely close to grade 10, and it was of the highest grade among all pills. Who wouldn't want a medicinal pill of this quality? Even so, Shido, the Venerable One, and the others were not confident about winning by force. So they made a request. An alchemy competition. The side that could refine the highest quality pill within the specified time would be able to obtain the pill. Initially, Shido, the Venerable One, and the others thought they would have to go through a lot of trouble, but Meng Quan agreed to it without any hesitation. Moreover, Meng Quan added another prize. 100,000 Emperor-grade origin crystals. Shido, the Venerable One, and the others did not expect Meng Qiuaning to agree so easily. As far as they were concerned, 100,000 Emperor-grade essence crystals compared to that medicinal pill was completely not on the same level. Without much thought, Shido, the Venerable One, and the others agreed to it right away. Since an alchemy challenge was going to be held, Shido, the Venerable One, and the others naturally called the alchemy geniuses from their respective armies. There were 6 alchemists on Shido the Venerable's side. 3 of them were at the early stage of rank 9, and 3 of them were at the peak of rank 8. With such a lineup, Shido the Venerable and the others were fearless. After all, in the Eastern Army, apart from Meng Quan, there were only 2 alchemists, Mu Ping and Mu Hua. Moreover, their alchemy level was only at the early stage of the 9th level, and they were relatively old. In this alchemy competition, it would definitely be a competition between different age groups. It did not make sense for Shido, the Venerable One, to send a 20-year-old alchemist, while Meng Quan sent Mu Ping or Mu Hua. Don't worry. Meng Quan's expression was calm as he said, Mu Ping will fight on my side. Whoosh! Mu Ping took a step forward and unleashed his 9th grade soul force. Humph! Don't think that a 9th grade alchemist is amazing. We also have one here. Shido the Venerable snorted. The rules of the alchemy competition are simple. 2 wins out of 3 matches. The one who refines the highest quality elixir within the stipulated time will be the winner. Ma Qianshan, you'll compete with Mu Ping. Ma Qianshan's cultivation was at the peak of rank 8 Earth Supreme, and his soul force was at the early stage of rank 9. In the Western Army, Ma Qianshan's alchemy level could be ranked first. It was said that Ma Qianshan was only a step away from becoming a middle rank 9 alchemist. Currently, he could already refine middle rank 9 elixirs. Ma Qianshan did not hesitate. He went to the center of the hall and extended his right hand. Please advise me. I dare not advise you. Let's see who's the real deal. Mu Ping did not dare to be careless against Ma Qianshan. After all, Ma Qianshan's alchemy level was not inferior to his. The first match is to refine a 9th grade elixir, the Yang Initiation Elixir. Shido the Venerable shook his wrist, and 2 storage pouches flew out. One flew toward Mu Ping, and the other toward Ma Qianshan. Shido the Venerable did not play any tricks on the herbs, because he knew very well that it would be very difficult to trick Meng Quan. Rise! After catching the storage pouches, Mu Ping waved his sleeves, and a cauldron appeared in his hand. The cauldron was small at first, but as time passed, it grew bigger and bigger. In the end, the cauldron's shadow almost covered Mu Ping. Compared to me refining the Yang Initiation Elixir, it's not that easy. Ma Qianshan did not mind Mu Ping starting to refine the elixir. On the surface, the Yang Initiation Elixir was only an initial rank 9 elixir, but it was very special. The difficulty of refining it had reached middle rank 9. Coincidentally, Ma Qianshan had refined the Yang Initiation Elixir many times when he was in the Western Army, so he was very familiar with the refinement process. Even with his eyes closed, Ma Qianshan could refine the Yang Initiation Elixir in a short time. Therefore, Ma Qianshan was not in a hurry. He slowly took out the cauldron, took out the herbs from his storage pouch, and threw them into the cauldron. The Yang Initiation Elixir is an initial rank 9 elixir, but the difficulty of refining it is something that even ordinary middle rank 9 elixirs can't compare to. At the corner of the hall, Ningyu murmured. Swoosh! Ningyu's voice did not escape Meng Quan's ears. With a swift movement, Meng Quan appeared in front of Ningyu in the blink of an eye. You know alchemy too? Meng Quan asked. Just a little. Ningyu was terrified and hurriedly said, Recently, Grandmaster Mu Ping and Grandmaster Mu Hua have given me a lot of pointers, causing my skill in alchemy to improve a lot. What level of alchemist are you? Meng Quan did not seem to believe Ningyu. He displayed his powerful perception and entered Ningyu's body. Feeling Meng Quan's perception enter his body, Ningyu's mind shuddered, and he hurriedly guarded his mind, hiding all the secrets in his body. Peak rank 8 alchemist. Not bad at all. Meng Quan's perception did not linger on Ningyu for too long and quickly withdrew it. After withdrawing his perception, Meng Quan nodded and said, Tell me, Mu Ping or Ma Qianshan, who do you think will win? Meng Quan threw this difficult problem to Ningyu, wanting to probe Ningyu. Hearing that, Ningyu's expression was grave as he turned his head to look at Mu Ping and Ma Qianshan. On the surface, the two of them were equally matched in pill refinement speed, and the process was also very smooth. But Ningyu was very clear that according to this situation, Ma Qianshan would definitely form the pill ahead of time. Moreover, the quality of the yang entering pill that Ma Qianshan refined should be able to reach supreme grade. Unless Mu Ping could refine a transcendent grade yang entering pill within the stipulated time, otherwise he would lose without a doubt. Transcendent grade yang entering pill? Most likely, even Meng Quan did not have much confidence. Hence, Ningyu concluded that without too many unforeseen events, Mu Ping would lose without a doubt. You're so sure that Mu Ping will lose? Chapter 1479. From Lu Pil, thank you, leader. Hearing Meng Quan's words, Ningyu revealed an excited expression and hurriedly said, There are 2 reasons why I believe Master Mu Ping will lose. First, Master Mu Ping's soul energy is slightly weaker than Ma Qianshan's, and refining the yang entering pill has an extremely high requirement for soul energy. If one's soul energy is slightly weaker, the refinement might fail. Secondly, Ma Qianshan's refining technique is much more brilliant than Master Mu Ping's. He seems to be using the 5 elements pill refinement technique. Ningyu appeared very excited, as if Meng Quan had already agreed to accept him as a disciple. The reason why Ningyu did this was to dispel Meng Quan's worries. Obviously, Ningyu had conquered Meng Quan, although it had not completely dispelled the worries in Meng Quan's heart. He was not going to give in. Not bad. You can tell that Ma Qianshan is using the 5 elements pill concoction technique. Not bad. Meng Quan nodded and said, In the second round of the alchemy competition, you'll come. If you're able to win, I'll take you as my disciple. This, Ningyu opened his mouth, wanting to say something but hesitating. Don't worry. Seeing Ningyu's expression, Meng Quan smiled faintly and said, You are a peak 8th grade alchemist. Refining ordinary 8th grade medicinal pills shouldn't be difficult. All right, since the leader trusts me so much, I promise I won't let you down. Ningyu clenched his teeth and patted his chest. You promise? You're just a peak 8th grade alchemist. What do you have to guarantee it? With your toes? Shido the Venerable One was scornful. He responded proudly, Ma Qianshan will definitely win the first round. In other words, if you take part in the second round, you'll be competing with him in alchemy. Ma Qianshan was an early-stage rank 9 alchemist, and he was undoubtedly the best alchemist on Shido the Venerable's side. Shido the Venerable One and the others had discussed it. As long as Ma Qianshan could win, they would let him continue fighting. Winning 3 matches in a row and obtaining the medicinal pill. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Who cares if he's Ma Qianshan or Neo Qianshan? One should never admit defeat in an alchemy competition. Otherwise, I will definitely not participate in the second round. Ningyu uttered coldly. He did not respect Shido the Venerable One at all. Wasn't it Ma Qianshan? Not to mention Ma Qianshan, even if Neo Qianshan came, Ningyu would not be afraid. After all, Ma Qianshan was only an early-stage 9th grade alchemist, and his level of alchemy was not that high. Moreover, Meng Quan had said that the second round would be refining a grade 8 medicinal pill. It wasn't the slightest exaggeration to say that in terms of refining grade 8 medicinal pills, everyone present, including Meng Quan, wasn't a match for Ningyu. It's good to be confident, but if you're overconfident, you'll become arrogant. Instead of being enraged, Shido the Venerable One responded, "If you can defeat Ma Qianshan in the Alchemy Challenge, I won't be called Shido the Venerable One anymore. I'll change my name to Shido the Venerable One. Remember what you said. Ningyu is fearless. Don't go back on your word when you lose. Young fella, you're indeed arrogant." Shido the Venerable One was a little angry. Capable people are naturally arrogant. Ningyu went tit for tat and did not back down at all. Ningyu's thoughts were simple. He was representing Meng Quan now. As long as Meng Quan and Shido the Venerable One had a huge grudge against each other, everything would be worth it. After all, Meng Quan and the rest would be attacking Giant Shield City in a few days. Given Giant Shield City's current defensive strength, unless the palatial lord of the Centauria Palace successfully performed the soul guidance technique and set Meng Quan and the rest on fire, the Giant Shield City would not be able to withstand the attack of the army. Otherwise, Giant Shield City would definitely not be able to withstand the attack of the army. Click! Meng Quan's expression was cold. Just as he was about to retort, he heard a click. On the other side, a crisp sound was suddenly heard from the alchemy furnace above Mu Ping's head. How's that possible? Mu Ping looked up at the alchemy furnace above him with his mouth agape. He was speechless for a long time. I'm a grade 9 alchemist, so why can't I refine the yang entering pill? Since he failed to refine the yang entering pill, it meant that he had lost the first challenge. Rise. As expected, Ma Qianshan slapped the alchemy furnace with his right hand and shouted. The lid flew up at once, and a pill shot out of the furnace. Ma Qianshan was so fast that he caught the pill in the blink of an eye. I'm sorry. Ma Qianshan curled his lips as he held the yang entering pill. He looked disdainfully at Mu Ping and said, "Among the 4 armies in 100 Flower City, only your master's alchemy level is higher than mine. As long as your master doesn't make a move, I'll be invincible." Click, click. Mu Ping clenched his fists and gritted his teeth when Ma Qianshan openly mocked him. Mu Ping was vexed. If he had refined the yang entering pill seriously, it would not have exploded. He had only exploded because he was too careless and anxious. Are you sure you're invincible among the 4 armies in 100 Flower City as long as the leader doesn't make a move? All of a sudden, a discordant voice was heard. Ningyu took a step forward and said, "Apart from the leader, there are at least 2 to 3 alchemists who are better than you in this palace. Who do you think you are? How dare you talk to me like that?" Ma Qianshan uttered coldly, "I can easily defeat a low-rank alchemist like you even if I only use 50% of my strength." Who doesn't know how to brag? Ningyu was not intimidated by Ma Qianshan. He continued, "If you're so capable, you'll only use 50% of your strength in the second challenge." Fine, 50%. Ma Qianshan was so furious that he was about to explode. Shut up. Shido the Venerable could not bear to watch anymore. If Ma Qianshan and Ningyu continued to talk, they would surely be dragged into a ditch. The second challenge is to refine the Wind Dew pill. Shido the Venerable flicked his wrist, and 2 interspatial pouches flew out. One flew towards Ma Qianshan, while the other flew towards Ningyu. The participants for the second challenge had already been determined. Ningyu would be on Meng Quan's side, while Shido the Venerable would be on Ma Qianshan's side. Therefore, the first and second challenges were seamless. Rise! Ma Qianshan did not even rest, and immediately started refining the Wind Dew pill. The Wind Dew pill was a pinnacle 8th grade elixir, and it wasn't too difficult to refine. The time limit was 1 hour, and whoever refined the Wind Dew pill with the highest quality would be the winner. All in all, the 3 quasi-heavenly sovereigns did not believe that Ma Qianshan would fail. A 9th grade alchemist could refine an 8th grade elixir in 1 hour. Without a doubt, he could definitely refine a supreme grade Wind Dew pill. Why aren't you starting yet? Shido the Venerable stared at Ningyu and kindly reminded, with Ma Qianshan's alchemy skills, he can refine a supreme grade wind dew pill in half an hour at most. If you don't start now, you'll lose. What's the hurry? We have an hour, anyway. What does it have to do with me if Ma Qianshan can refine the wind dew pill in advance? Chapter 1480. A dual Shido, the Venerable One, looked closely at Ningyu again. He widened his eyes and asked in shock, "Have you lost your mind?" In actuality, he could not be blamed for being surprised. Ma Qianshan can surely refine a supreme-grade wind dew pill. According to Ningyu, is he going to refine a supreme wind dew pill? The wind dew pill was a pill at the peak of rank 8. Even Ma Qianshan could not refine a supreme wind dew pill when he was at his peak, let alone Ningyu. What does it have to do with you whether I've lost my mind or not? Ningyu rolled his eyes at Shido the Venerable and approached Meng Quanshu. Chief, there's something wrong with my furnace recently, so I can't withstand the wind dew pill's impact. Ha ha ha. Shido the Venerable laughed maniacally. You don't even have an alchemy furnace. You're trying to refine a supreme wind dew pill? You must be dreaming. I'm sure you're thinking about it. Ningyu looked at Shido the Venerable. I don't have an alchemy furnace, so Ma Qianshan will surely win this duel. Oomph. So what if you have an alchemy furnace? The outcome is set. Ma Qianshan will surely win. Shido the Venerable scoffed. That's not necessarily the case. If you can provide me with an alchemy furnace, I'll surely defeat Ma Qianshan. Ningyu was in high spirits at the moment, and he was not afraid of anything. He looked like he was the only one in the world. Okay, I'll provide you with an alchemy furnace. With a flash of thought, Shido the Venerable retrieved an alchemy furnace and tossed it to Ningyu. Pow! Ningyu caught the alchemy furnace and weighed it in his hand. This alchemy furnace is at most ranked 70th or 80th on the heaven ranking of alchemy furnaces. Forget it. I'll make do with it. Ningyu did not bargain with Shido the Venerable One anymore. He tossed the furnace into midair. Then his soul power gushed out and channeled into the furnace. Although the wind dew pill was a peak grade 8 pill, it could definitely be concocted using a furnace ranked in the top 100 of the Sky List. Ningyu was arguing with Shido the Venerable One because he wanted to disrupt Ma Qianshan's plan. Ningyu's actions were beginning to show results. At the beginning, Ma Qianshan was prepared to refine transcendent-grade wind dew pills. But after Ningyu's disturbance, Ma Qianshan changed his mind and decided to refine supreme-grade wind dew pills. After all, refining transcendent-grade wind dew pills was risky. Ma Qianshan did not want to fail miserably. Master, can he defeat Ma Qianshan? Seeing Ningyu starting to refine the wind dew pill, Mu Ping bit his lips and said hesitantly. Mu Ping had been brooding over his loss in the first round of the alchemy competition, feeling that he had let Meng Quan down. If Ningyu failed as well, it would mean that their Eastern Route army had failed. Meng Quan would have to hand over the pills he had just refined. Let's wait and see. Meng Quan said expressionlessly, his soul power is at the peak of grade 8, but I'm not sure about his alchemy level. Sizzle, sizzle. While Meng Quan and Mu Ping were conversing, Ningyu had already begun refining the wind dew pill. Ningyu's speed was very fast. Almost every second, he would throw a stalk of medicinal herb into the pill furnace. At the same time, a flame appeared on the fingertips of Ningyu's right hand, and it kept burning the bottom of the furnace. Ningyu did not release the 10,000 bone flame and the 10,000 beast flame. After all, Meng Quan was here, and Ningyu was worried that the latter would snatch the 10,000 beast flame. Ha ha ha! Ma Qianshan, who was next to him, did not forget to look at Ningyu in between refining pills. Ma Qianshan laughed out loud when he saw Ouyangming. You must have lost your mind. How can you refine the wind dew pill in this way? If you can refine the wind dew pill, even if it's an inferior grade wind dew pill, I'll concede defeat to you. Ma Qianshan did not hide the mockery in his tone at all. Hee hee, what's the use of conceding defeat to me? Ningyu smiled and said, if I can refine the wind dew pill, will you hand over your alchemy furnace to me? Ma Qinshan's furnace was ranked 60th on the heaven ranking of alchemy furnaces, and it was very good. Ningyu had the incorporeal furnace, which was ranked 30th, but it was not convenient for him to use it. If he could win Ma Qinshan's furnace, at least Ningyu would not need to worry about his furnace for a period of time. Okay, we'll do as you say. A cold smile appeared on Ma Qinshan's face as he said, "However, if you are unable to refine the wind dew pill, I will take your life." When Ma Qinshan uttered the word fate, the entire hall fell silent. Shido the Venerable One, Nando the Venerable One, and the others were shocked. "Bet with my life?" Before they came, they had discussed that they would only snatch the pills this time instead of fighting Meng Quan. Now, Ma Qinshan decided to bet with his life on his own. This doesn't seem fair. Ningyu frowned. "If I win, I'll only win your furnace, but if you win, you'll win my life. There's no such thing as fairness in this world. Fairness is in the hands of the capable." Ma Qinshan was disdainful. "When you're stronger than me, you can set the rules too. If that's the case, I can set the rules too." Before Ningyu could speak, Meng Quan said indifferently, "In my opinion, all of you should stop refining pills. Hurry up and leave behind the Emperor-grade essence crystals and pill refining furnace. Then all of you can scram. Scram back to wherever you came from." Meng Quan's domineering words made Shido the Venerable One and the others look terrible. In particular, Ma Qinshan was speechless. He was competing with Ningyu in terms of capabilities. Great! Meng Quan was competing with him too. If he could defeat Ningyu, Meng Quan could kill him effortlessly. Let's talk this out. The second round of the alchemy competition has been going on for 5 minutes, so let's finish the 3 rounds first. Shido the Venerable One did not want anything to go wrong at this time. As long as Ma Qinshan won the round, Meng Quan would hand over the pills that he refined earlier to them, according to the agreement. Based on Meng Quan's character, he would not go back on his word. Shido the Venerable One was displeased that Ma Qinshan acted on impulse at this time. The Venerable One decided to make Ma Qinshan reflect on himself when he returned to the West Road Army. Let's continue with the alchemy. Meng Quan waved his hand and returned to his chair. As for the bet between them, it'll be cancelled and a new one will be held. Whoever refines the wind dew pill first can order the other party to do something for them unconditionally without going back on their word. Sure, Shido the Venerable One was very confident in Ma Qinshan, so he agreed to it without any hesitation. But I think we should change it a little. We shouldn't look at who refines the wind dew pill first, but who refines a supreme grade wind dew pill first. Shido the Venerable One was not a fool. If they competed with inferior grade wind dew pills, they would likely fail miserably. Chapter 1481. Chapter 1481. Chapter 1481 Battle of Wits. All right, let's see who can refine the supreme grade wind dew pill first. Meng Quan did not argue too much. He nodded and said, "Next, no one is allowed to interfere with their pill refinement. Whoever dares to disobey will be killed without mercy." Along with the 3 words "kill without mercy" coming out of Meng Quan's mouth, the temperature of the entire audience hall seemed to have instantly dropped to the freezing point. Shido the Venerable One and the others tensed up and dared not say a word. Meng Quan's strength is actually so strong. Shido the Venerable One and the others were appalled. They knew that Meng Quan was strong, but they didn't expect him to be this strong. In their view, Meng Quan was also a quasi-heavenly sovereign like them. So how strong could he be? But now, they realized that they were wrong. Very wrong. Although Meng Quan's cultivation was only at the quasi-heavenly sovereign realm, his overall strength could confront ordinary heavenly sovereigns. In other words, as long as Meng Quan was willing, it would be very difficult for the 3 of them to leave this place today. Gulp. Shido the Venerable One could not help but gulp and fall silent. At this moment, Shido the Venerable One only wanted Ma Qinshan to refine supreme grade wind dew pills as soon as possible so that they could leave with the pills refined by Meng Quan. If they stayed any longer, They were afraid that Meng Quan would go back on his word. Chi. On the other side, Ma Qianshan and Ningyu were not affected by Meng Quan's aura. They were refining the wind du pill in an orderly manner. As the refining methods used by Ma Qianshan and Ningyu were a little different, all the pill masters in the main hall did not dare to confirm who would refine the best grade wind du pill first. Ma Qianshan's alchemy technique is still the 5 elements alchemy technique. With this technique and the strength of his soul force, he should be able to refine a top-grade wind du pill in around 40 minutes. Mu Ping had lost to Ma Qianshan in the first match. In the second match, he had placed all of his attention on Ma Qianshan. As for Ningyu, Mu Ping only gave him a quick glance and asked in confusion, "What kind of alchemy technique is Ningyu using? Why does it look even better than Ma Qianshan's?" "Powerful, my ass. He just threw all the medicinal ingredients into the pill furnace. It's as if he has nothing to lose." Mu Hua rolled his eyes and said, "According to my observation, he might not even be able to refine a low-grade wind du pill, let alone a top-grade wind du pill." "That may be the case," Mu Ping said with a slightly serious expression, "but I still feel that something will go wrong." "What other problems could there be?" 40 minutes later, Ma Qianshan will refine the supreme grade wind du pill, while Ningyu will refine the low-grade wind du pill or the explosion pill. Mu Hua said, "Things have already been decided. It definitely won't go wrong just because you think there's a problem." But Mu Ping frowned. He still felt that something was wrong. "There are no buts. Although I don't like Ma Qianshan, I have to admit that apart from Master, no one in the 4 armies can beat him in alchemy." Mu Hua waved his hand and said, "What we need to think about is how to tell Master that we're under Ningyu's control and ask him to help us." "You want to betray me?" At that moment, Ningyu's indifferent voice suddenly rang in Mu Hua's ears. Mu Hua's mouth opened wide in shock, and his body trembled slightly. He hadn't said what he'd said earlier, so how did Ningyu hear him? Could it be that Ningyu's ears are Shunfeng ears, and he can eavesdrop on my thoughts? "That's right, I am Shunfeng ears." Ningyu's voice rang in Mu Hua's ears again. He said coldly, "This is the only time. If I find out that any of you have any thoughts of rebelling against me again, I'll kill you without mercy." Although Ningyu had said "kill" without mercy in a light tone, it was like a thunderclap in Mu Hua's ears. Mu Hua was terrified. Ningyu had already taken control of his sea of consciousness and heart. If Ningyu wanted to, he would be done for immediately. Going against Ningyu was simply courting death. With Ningyu's warning, Mu Hua chose to keep his mouth shut and dared not say a word. Mu Hua was very afraid that Ningyu would really kill him. After all, Ningyu was not afraid of anything, so he might really kill him. Mu Hua felt wrong that he would die in Ningyu's hands for no reason. Therefore, Mu Hua made up his mind that he would only do one thing from now on until Ningyu and Ma Qianshan's pill refinement results were determined, and that was to keep his mouth shut. Sizzle, sizzle. Time passed slowly. In the first 10 minutes, Ma Qianshan refined all of the medicinal herbs and began to compress the medicinal liquid. On the other hand, Ningyu continued to refine the medicinal liquid. Ma Qianshan refined the medicinal herbs one by one, and he did not refine more than 2 at most. On the other hand, Ningyu threw all of the medicinal herbs into the furnace in one go. Ma Qianshan will win for sure. Shido, the Venerable One, was excited to see that Ma Qianshan had entered the stage of compressing the medicinal liquid. Ningyu continued to refine the medicinal herbs. At this rate, Ningyu would not be able to refine all of the medicinal herbs by the time Ma Qianshan completed the second step of compressing the medicinal liquid. Almost everyone in the hall was not optimistic about Ningyu. Needless to say, the only ones who were optimistic about Ningyu were the ferocious bloodthirsty mad wolf and the scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf. The 2 bloodthirsty berserk wolves had witnessed Ningyu's true strength. A mere grade 8 pill would not be a problem for Ningyu. Not to mention refining a supreme grade wind du pill. The ferocious bloodthirsty mad wolf and the scarred bloodthirsty mad wolf believed that not only could Ningyu refine the wind du pill, but he could also refine a supreme wind du pill. Ning Yu's refinement speed was slower than Ma Qianshan's because he was considering whether to refine a supreme-grade wind dew pill or a supreme wind dew pill. Based on Ning Yu's alchemy level, he would probably be able to refine a supreme wind dew pill easily. If Ma Qianshan knew what the ferocious, bloodthirsty mad wolf and the others were thinking, he would probably vomit blood. Was it really that easy to refine a supreme wind dew pill? The answer was obviously no. Even though Ma Qianshan was a grade 9 alchemist, he was only 10% confident that he could refine a supreme wind dew pill. Ma Qianshan should be able to refine a supreme wind dew pill in 30 minutes. Ning Yu frowned and fell into deep thought. The ferocious, bloodthirsty mad wolf and the others were right. Ning Yu was in a dilemma at the moment. He initially wanted to refine a supreme-grade wind dew pill, but he was afraid that Ma Qianshan would cheat and refine a supreme wind dew pill at the last moment. It was worth noting that they were not the only ones competing in the competition, but Meng Quan, Shido the Venerable One, and the others were also competing. If Ma Qianshan could refine a supreme wind dew pill at the last moment, even if Yangming managed to refine a supreme wind dew pill before him, he would still lose the competition between Meng Quan and Shido the Venerable One. Should I let Meng Quan win, or should I win? This is a problem. Forget it. I'll refine a supreme wind dew pill to avoid any unforeseen events. After some thought, Ning Yu finally decided to refine a supreme wind dew pill. After all, Ma Qianshan was very cunning, and Ning Yu was determined to win the competition. If he won this battle, Ning Yu would be able to leave a good impression in Meng Quan's heart. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.